Chapter 63. 4 Apprentice Warlocks. Fuck. How come there are so many freaks? When Terry saw this scene, his eyes flashed with a whiff of despair, he clenched his teeth and immediately turned around to flee. After the rest of the Black Crow's warriors saw the second commander flee, they also immediately turned around and abandoned their companions, directly fleeing towards the two sides of the ravine. More than 200 fully armed warriors facing 5 apprentice warlocks ended up suffering a crushing defeat. That's the terror of this world's apprentice warlocks. It's also the reason why warlocks, this group, is at the pinnacle of the world's ruling position, because they grasp this world's most formidable power. On the ground, there were only several dozen corpses of the Black Crow's warriors as well as more than 30 Black Crow's warriors who were stung into pig heads by the swarm of highly toxic bees. Spare me. Don't kill me. Save me, I'm willing to be your slave. The Black Crow's warriors all implored loudly. Go to hell. Go to hell. Go to hell. Trux laughed malevolently, he brandished his great sword, as if he was stabbing ants, killing all of the Black Crow's warriors. Yang Feng watched as Trux directly stabbed the Black Crow's warriors to death, his eyebrows slightly creased, he didn't say a word. They were going to the obscure mountain range, it was naturally impossible to bring along these burdens. Moreover, these Black Crow's warriors were also scum from other places, their deaths weren't to be regretted. Pierre directly dismounted from his horse, he groped the Black Crow's warriors one by one and looted all of their valuables. Pierre was in a very carefree mood, he said with a smile, a bunch of paupers, they only have 103 gold coins on them. These military crossbows, weapons and leather armors are comparatively valuable, they can be sold for approximately 3,000 gold coins. The 5 of us, each of us can get 600 gold coins. Military crossbows can deal with knight rank experts, no matter which country it's a controlled strategic weapon, the price is also very expensive. Within the sphere of influence of the obscure mountain range, there's absolutely no need to worry about selling these military crossbows. Trux licked his lips and said somewhat excitedly, really good, it would be great if there were a bit more of these idiots. Yang Feng quietly watched from the side, he felt somewhat rueful within, this is the life of those low-level apprentice warlocks without a backer. For the sake of a few resources, they would risk their lives to kill and rob. A few magic stones was enough to make them dance in joy. If I hadn't defeated Fernandro clan and obtained the huge war reparations, and if NR 3796 didn't have the ability to synthesize elixirs, then I'm afraid that I would also be like them, running around everywhere for resources. It's basically impossible to promote to a level 3 apprentice warlock. On the warlock path, resources were omnipotent existences. As long as there were enough resources, even a trash could be nurtured into a peerless powerhouse. Without resources, even if one had peerless talent, one would only slowly become mediocre and eventually become immortal. Warlock College Antalya would enroll 1,000 elite students every year, but only a dozen or so people could be promoted to an official warlock every year. Many talented apprentices, because they didn't have enough resources, missed the best age to promote to an official warlock, and had no choice but to spend their lives as level 3 apprentice warlocks. Let's go, Pierre said. Yang Feng and his party immediately left and went into the distance. 10 days later, at night. Under a cliff in the depths of the obscure mountain range, in front of an enormous crevice stood 7 people, it was precisely Yang Feng and his party. Anya pointed towards the enormous crevice, her beautiful eyes flashed with a whiff of excitement, this is the entrance to the ruins of Gloom Cave. Wait until the moonlight shines on this crevice, then the gate leading to Gloom Cave will open. Pierre and the others also stared at the enormous crevice, their eyes flashing with a whiff of excitement. The warlock groups of the 3rd Warlock Dynasty era were by far more formidable than those of the modern era. In that era, an intermediate warlock group possessed the ability to cross planes, carry out planar travel, and capture formidable extraordinary life forms from other planes for research. An intermediate warlock group of that time could easily annihilate Tyrannid subcontinent's 6 great warlock groups. Such formidable warlock group, as long as there were a few well-preserved items left, they could be sold at sky-high prices in Tyrannid subcontinent. Yang Feng glanced at the enormous crevice, his eyes slightly narrowed. He said with a light smile, "Sorry, I changed my mind. I don't want to go inside and explore. How about this, you go inside first. Wait until you come out, then I'll use magic stones to trade with you and buy the items from you." Irene's complexion suddenly changed greatly along the way. She shouted, "What are you talking about? Yang Feng, are you playing with us?" Anya's pretty complexion changed slightly. She retreated a few steps and fumbled with a red crystal. Pierre and Trux were also greatly shaken. Their complexions changed greatly. They retreated a few steps and stared at Yang Feng, their eyes brimming with ill intent. Pierre's thoughts revolved, his face surged with a whiff of graveness. He shot a glance at Irene and Anya, the two women, and said in a deep voice, "What's going on? Yang Feng, did you discover something?" Yang Feng gave Pierre a somewhat appreciative glance. He said with a slight smile, "Pierre, your sense of smell is really sharp. If you continue to listen and know too many secrets, then you might die. I'm quite appreciative of you. If you leave now, then you'll still have a chance of survival. After you survive this time, you can go to Steel City to look for me. I'll let you be my subordinate." Trux had a puzzled expression. He glared at Yang Feng, his eyes flashed with a whiff of fierceness. He said fiercely, "In the end, what are you talking about? Yang Feng, why do you want to withdraw from this exploration? Quickly speak. Since it's like this, then I'll take my leave first." Pierre's thoughts revolved lightning fast. He made a decision. He clenched his teeth, saluted Yang Feng and cautiously retreated from the way he came. Pierre's adventuring experience was very rich. At the same time his senses were also very keen. Once he felt that something was wrong, he would decisively leave. This was also an important factor for him to survive many dangerous adventures. Irene's pretty face suddenly distorted. She screamed loudly and retreated to Pierre's side. "Pierre, you're not allowed to leave. Kill him, as long as you kill him. I can give you the spell model warping field for promoting to an official level 1 warlock. Also, there's the necessary alchemical elixir 100-year tree core liquid. Trux, kill him. As long as you can kill him, I can also provide you with the resources to promote to a level 1 warlock." When Trux heard that, his heart was moved. His eyes flashed with a whiff of greed as he looked at Yang Feng. He extended his hand and placed it on the copper box containing the secret treasure armor on his back. Pierre stared coldly at Irene. A frigid killing intent pervaded from his body. "Get out of the way. I don't want to be chased by Steel City's city lord because of this little bit of resources. Irene, I told you to get out of the way, otherwise don't blame me for being impolite." Irene felt Pierre's killing intent. Her pretty face changed and she hastily retreated to the side. She was very clear about Pierre's character. Once he made a decision, even if she stood in front of him, she would definitely be killed. Chapter 64. Truly a cunning guy. When did you discover me? At this moment, along with a sweet and pleasant voice, a beautiful woman dressed in a silver-white low-cut warlock's chongpao, with a silver thread on the cuffs, with a head full of golden waterfall-like long hair, as if a goddess from a myth, slowly walked out from the forest with a smile. "I've seen Teacher Eunice." Pierre looked at the goddess-like beautiful woman. He felt bitterness in his mouth. Traces of an unknown premonition welled up in his heart, yet he still braced himself and saluted Eunice. "I've seen Teacher Eunice." Apart from Yang Feng, the other three people saluted Eunice respectfully. The disparity in status between apprentice warlocks and official warlocks was extremely huge. If an apprentice warlock was disrespectful towards official warlocks, then it would be a crime that was neither too big nor too small. Eunice stared at Yang Feng with a smile that wasn't a smile and said, "Yang Feng, you've got guts. You actually dare not salute me. Just based on this point, I can expel you from the college." Yang Feng said calmly, "Gloom Cave is a trap, right? There are no ancient relics in this crevice, yet it's filled with dangers. If I go in, then I'll definitely die. Teacher Eunice, I've always wanted to ask you, in the end, how did I offend you? Why do you want to deal with me like this?" The smile on Eunice's face disappeared, her pretty face somewhat distorted, her beautiful eyes flashed with disgust and contempt as she sneered, "Because you're Steel City's city master Yang Ye's only blood relative. My little darling Jessica is extremely disgusted with you. As long as she can get rid of you, then she'll definitely be very happy. Moreover, as long as I kill you, then your little sister Shui will be in my pocket. That beautiful as an angel girl isn't someone a waste like you can match. Even if a waste like you stays by her side, it would still tarnish her beauty. It's actually lesbian jealousy. Yang Feng was suddenly somewhat speechless. He didn't think that it was because Eunice was actually jealous of him staying by Shui's side, that she wanted to get rid of him. Warlocks have a far longer lifespan than ordinary people, simultaneously they wield formidable power, they are existences at the peak of this world. It's precisely because of this that the disparity between warlocks is extremely huge. Some warlocks lead extremely extravagant and depraved lives. For the sake of enjoyment, they dared to violate any kind of taboo. Some strange humanoid life forms were aberrations born from the union of human warlocks and other extraordinary life forms. Among the warlocks, homosexuality was not a rare thing. Moreover, warlocks have strange means. Some warlocks can completely change their gender. Even among warlocks, there were strange existences that could continuously transform between male and female, eating both men and women. In the eyes of ordinary people, warlocks were the group with the highest proportion of perverts. Yang Feng creased his eyebrows slightly and said solemnly, "You dare to kill me, aren't you afraid of the retaliation of Steel City's 100,000 mechanical golem legion behind me?" Eunice's eyes flashed with ridicule as she sneered, "Do you think your Steel City's 100,000 mechanical golems are very strong? In front of Warlock College Antalya, your 100,000 knight-rank mechanical golems are simply too weak. Unless it's a mechanical golem with battle prowess comparable to that of an official warlock, only then would it be possible to threaten the safety of Warlock College Antalya. After you die, if Yang Yi is obedient, he can live for a few more years. If he dares to act out of line, the entire city of steel will be destroyed. All right. I've satisfied your thirst for knowledge. Now, you can go and die." Eunice's beautiful eyes flashed with a touch of a bewitching radiance. She confidently and handsomely snapped her fingers. A three-headed extraordinary life form the size of a palm jumped out from Eunice's bosom. It had the face of a beautiful woman on its back. It opened its small mouth, and a formless deadly sound wave shot out from its mouth. "No! Teacher Eunice, why?" Irene's eyes opened wide at once. She bled from her 7 orifices and rolled on the ground in pain. The level 3 apprentice warlock trucks, who could fight against 100 and defeat the Black Crow's warriors, issued a roar akin to a wounded beast, knelt on the ground and struggled in pain. Pierre, whose strength was unfathomable and possessed the strength of a pinnacle level 3 apprentice warlock, also bled from his 7 orifices, his body trembled and struggled in pain. Anya immediately fell to the ground, rolled on the ground in pain and implored, "Teacher Eunice, why?" The corners of Eunice's mouth rose slightly, revealing a beautiful smile, yet she said cruel words, "Unfortunately, you know too much. In order to avoid trouble, I can only let you die." In the eyes of apprentice warlocks, mortals were ants. In front of such a formidable official warlock like Eunice, apprentice warlocks were only slightly more formidable ants. They could be casually killed. Yang Feng, who was protected by the 2 shield troops, was also hit by that strange sound wave and immediately went limp on the ground. Warning, warning, the sound wave has a hypnotic lethal effect on the host. Carry out emergency treatment, immediately cut off the sound transmission. A voice quickly sounded, directly shutting off the sound transmission system of the liquid metal robot that had transformed into Yang Feng. In a secret basement, Yang Feng, who was wearing a helmet and constantly struggling in pain, heaved a sigh of relief. His back was drenched in cold sweat and he had a lingering fear. Fuck, the methods of an official warlock are too strange and terrifying. Only without sound and my body not there, I was almost killed. Yang Feng's body already possessed the cultivation of a level 3 apprentice warlock. Among mortals, he was already considered as an extremely terrifying existence. But in front of Eunice, even if he was far away, he was still almost killed. This pervert, I must get rid of her. Yang Feng looked at the screen, his eyes flashed with a whiff of killing intent as he looked at the beautiful and alluring Eunice. The two shield troops at the edge of the huge crevice at once raised their shields. Two transparent and colorless formidable protective covers suddenly appeared, completely shrouding the liquid metal robot that Yang Feng possessed. The liquid metal robot that Yang Feng possessed swayed slightly and immediately stood up. The extraordinary life-form three-headed human-faced cat's innate ability, Deadly Sound Wave, had boundless might towards life forms. Even level 2 warlock rank experts would be in grave danger if they were hit by its deadly sound wave. Some level 2 warlocks with slightly weaker physiques would even be directly killed. However, the deadly sound wave was basically ineffective against robots. Eunice was somewhat surprised as she said with a light smile, "You actually didn't die. It seems like your uncle gave you a lot of top-notch protective secret treasures. However, do you think that a trifling 2 steel golems can protect you? If you obediently die, then it obviously wouldn't be that painful. The one who wants to deal with you isn't me." The corners of Yang Feng's mouth rose slightly, revealing a trace of a smile, and he said in a deep voice, "Shua, come out. Get rid of this woman for me." "Yes, Gidge." From the trunk of an enormous tree, a beautiful oriental young lady dressed in a black gothic lowly attire, with long hair like a black waterfall, snow-white jade-like skin, exquisite and glossy, a peerless appearance, and her whole body was filled with formidable fluctuations of power. This beautiful young lady, as if from a fairy tale, was precisely Shua, born from the taboo stone. Chapter 65. Level 1 Warlock. That's really inconceivable. That's awesome. Shua, you're really awesome, really wonderful. I'll definitely turn you into my possession. Eunice stared at Shua, her beautiful eyes flashed with fanaticism. She gasped slightly and said in a bewitching voice, "Shua, come to my side. As long as you follow me, I'll spare Yang Feng's dog life. I can provide you with a lot of resources. You can easily promote to a level 2 warlock. It's you, this lowly sow, who dared to injure my big brother Yang Feng. That's really a heinous crime. Let me properly educate you, correct your twisted character, and teach you how to conduct yourself." Shua's beautiful eyes flashed with a touch of bewitching radiance, her black hair fluttered, and an extremely formidable ice force field surrounded her body. Streaks of white light condensed in her right hand, forming a 2-meter-long white ice whip. "That's awesome. I'm liking you more and more." Eunice laughed somewhat crazily, her lily-white hands lightly pointed, and green rays of light shrouded a ring on her hands. Suddenly, a vine covered in sharp thorns extended from the ring. It was as thick as a python. At the tip of the vine was a 6-petaled tentacle. Within the tentacle were countless sharp teeth, and it ferociously bit at Shua. Shua was like an ice and snow fairy. She gracefully stepped forward, the ice whip in her hand ferociously lashed out, the ice whip at the demonic vine. In a flash, a tremendous ice force erupted, shrouding the demonic vine. The ice extended little by little, freezing the demonic vine into an ice sculpture, and the ice continued to spread towards Eunice's hands. Western Extreme Cold Ice Phoenix Method. A top-notch secret method. To be able to cultivate this secret method without any guidance, that's really outstanding. Eunice's eyes flashed with a touch of a peculiar light. She was full of praise. She casually flicked the ring in her hand away. When the ring left Eunice's lily-white hands, it immediately collapsed and turned into countless fragments. That fierce demonic vine also collapsed inch by inch, turning into ashes. The Western Extreme Cold Ice Phoenix art was a top-notch ice attribute secret art. If there was no one to guide or if one had a special constitution, it would be very difficult to achieve anything. For Shua to be able to cultivate this secret method to the boundary of a level 1 warlock in just a little more than a year, her talent was simply heaven-defying. However, my enemy is not you. Eunice smiled sweetly and retreated quickly. With a flash, she strangely appeared in front of Yang Feng. 2 thick vines instantly shot out from the ground and pierced through the shields of the 2 shield-bearers. The vines wrapped around the 2 shield-bearers and flung them to the side. "Stop! Otherwise, I'll kill your Yang Feng Gidge." Eunice reached out, grabbed Yang Feng and placed him in front of her, and then shouted at Shua. "Eunice, please have a taste of my gift to you." Yang Feng didn't have the slightest awareness of being a hostage. He gave Eunice a strange smile. Shi Shui waved her jade-like hand, and a stream of cold air condensed in front of her, forming an ice wall. Eunice's heart welled up with a touch of a bad premonition. Her mind moved and she forcefully flung Yang Feng in an attempt to throw him away. Boom! Along with a terrifying loud noise, the remote-controlled bomb inside the liquefied metal robot that Yang Feng possessed detonated in a flash. A terrifying shock wave instantly engulfed Eunice. Sand, stones and steel fragments splashed everywhere, hit Shi Shui's ice wall and bounced off. A figure flew out from the countless explosions and landed on the ground. It was Eunice. At this time, the silvery white warlock Changpao on her body was already in tatters. That beautiful face was also stained with traces of smoke. Her golden waterfall-like long hair also had some traces of being burnt. She looked battered and exhausted. Official warlocks are really monstrous existences, they're still alive. Yang Feng saw Eunice was still alive through the scene of the reconnaissance satellite. He was somewhat speechless as he thought. The power of the liquefied metal robot that Yang Feng possessed could even blow apart a tank. Eunice unexpectedly didn't die from such a terrifying explosion. This showed that under the support of the magical power, she was much harder than a tank. Two snake-like ice whips shot out from the smoke and dust, ruthlessly whipping Eunice's body with lightning speed. The corners of Eunice's mouth reddened. Drops of blood dripped from her mouth, and before they fell to the ground, they turned into blood-colored ice beads. You forced me to do this. Eunice was like an enraged lioness, a terrifying life force erupted from her body. She quickly silently recited a series of incantations, her jade finger pointed towards the sky. Streams of star force scattered from the sky and were drawn into a necklace secret treasure around her neck that exuded star force. That necklace secret treasure exuding star force suddenly blossomed with an incomparably bright brilliance, enveloping Eunice's body and making her aura rise little by little. The block of ice that originally covered half of Eunice's body was directly shaken off. Under the illumination of the starlight, Eunice's body formed an incomparably powerful starlight force field, making her look as powerful and beautiful as the queen of stars that descended from the stars. Damn it, this is a level 2 secret treasure or above. Moreover, it matches the secret method that she practices. At present, I'm still not her match. Brother, it's your turn. Shi Shui saw Eunice transform amidst the starlight, her eyes flashed with a whiff of unwillingness, her figure shook and she suddenly retreated. That kind of secret treasure that matches the cultivation secret method is very precious and its effect is also very great. Under the strengthening of that secret treasure, Eunice now possessed terrifying battle prowess comparable to that of a level 2 warlock. Although Shi Shui's innate talent was formidable and her battle prowess was terrifying, but she lacked a secret treasure and still wasn't Eunice's match. Leave it to me. Eunice, let's start the second round. A voice reverberated in this area, and a mechanical bladed troop walked out from the side. Its upper body was humanoid, but it had 8 arms, and each arm was equipped with an alloy-long blade. Its head had countless insect-like compound eyes, as well as a bloody mouth full of sawtooth. Its lower body was beastly like a fierce tiger, and it had an incomparably sharp tail like an incomparably sharp spear. The mechanical bladed troop's insect-like compound eyes flickered and locked onto the goddess-like Eunice. Chapter 66. As soon as the beast-type bladed troop appeared, it suddenly leapt violently and fiercely pounced towards Eunice. A trifling mechanical golem also wants to block me? Break for me. Eunice's beautiful eyes flashed with a whiff of a peculiar glint. She silently recited an incantation and pointed with her lily-white hand. The starlight around her suddenly condensed and formed pearl-like shapes, then as if shooting stars madly bombarded the beast-type bladed troop. The beast-type bladed troop's chest flashed with a radiance and a transparent protective cover instantly appeared outside its body. The pearls formed by the starlight bombarded the beast-type bladed troop's energy protective cover, setting off traces of ripples. The beast-type bladed troop instantly appeared in front of Eunice while resisting the countless starlight pearls, its 8 enormous alloy blades fiercely chopped towards Eunice with a piercing sound. Eunice's pretty face changed slightly, she silently recited an incantation and the starlight around her flourished. She madly shook and a formidable rebounding force blasted at the beast-type bladed troop, directly sending it flying. Yang Feng, your uncle really dotes on you. He even sent a mechanical golem with battle prowess comparable to a pinnacle level 1 warlock to protect you. If I were to destroy it, your expression would definitely be very amusing. Eunice gave a sweet smile and raised her lily-white hand high. Lumps of starlight turned into a whirlpool and condensed on her finger. She extended her hand and pointed towards the beast-type bladed troop. The starlight condensed into a thumb-sized beam of light and directly shot at the beast-type bladed troop's protective cover. The beam of light penetrated the beast-type bladed troop's protective cover and directly shot through its head. After the beast-type bladed troop's head was shot through, it continued to move and madly pounced towards Eunice. Eunice's pretty face finally changed slightly. The head isn't a vital point. Fuck, that's how it is. I have to find its energy core, otherwise, I can only destroy all of its joints. These mechanical golems are the most troublesome. Eunice took a deep breath and silently recited an incantation. The starlight around her frantically surged and condensed into the shape of stones. She pointed her jade finger at the beast-type bladed troop, starlight condensed into stones, and as if meteorites, madly bombarded the beast-type bladed troop. Under the bombardment of the countless meteorite-like starlight, the beast-type bladed troop's protective cover only lasted for less than a second before it completely collapsed. Then, under the bombardment of the countless stones, it disintegrated into countless components that scattered on the ground. Eunice looked at the dismembered beast-type bladed troop, slightly gasping for breath. Her aura weakened slightly. She took out a bottle of blue spirit strength potion and drank it. Killing that beast-type bladed troop consumed a lot of her spirit power and physical strength. Amazing! With the strength of a level 1 warlock, he was actually able to kill one of my guardian golems. Very impressive. Now, let's proceed to the third round and get rid of these fellows. From the side of the thicket came Yang Feng's chuckle, followed by a burst of rustling sounds. A beast-type bladed troop came out from the thicket. Eunice's beautiful eyes flashed with disdain. She laughed coldly and said, "It's these mechanical puppets again. If I can kill the first one, I can kill the second one. Don't be anxious. My guards still haven't completely come out." Yang Feng's voice had just fallen when bursts of sounds came from the thicket. One after another, beast-type bladed troops quickly jumped out from all directions and surrounded Eunice. Eunice looked at the more than 50 beast-type bladed troops. Her pretty face finally changed and a trace of cold sweat gushed out from her back. These beast-type bladed troops were currently Yang Feng's most powerful land-close combat main battle troops. Each beast-type bladed troop's battle prowess was comparable to that of a pinnacle level 1 warlock. Even some extraordinary life forms comparable to level 2 warlocks weren't their match. 50 beast-type bladed troops could directly besiege and kill a level 2 warlock. Moreover, this time Yang Feng had mobilized up to 300 bladed troops, completely covering the area and blocking all of Eunice's escape routes. Eunice's pretty face suddenly became charming and seductive. She said with a smile brimming with charm, "Hee, it's just a small misunderstanding. Yang Feng, is it worth making such a fuss over a minor issue? How about letting bygones be bygones? Henceforth, I'll still be your teacher. I'll carefully pass on the knowledge I've grasped to you and let you become an official level 1 warlock. That's right, I still have a very rare elf. You've also seen her beauty. I can also give her to you." Yang Feng's ice-cold voice came from within the beast-type bladed troop. "Teacher Eunice, it wasn't easy to lure you here. Do you think I'll let the tiger return to the mountain? Today, this will be your place of death. Rest in peace." Eunice gave a bewitching smile and said, "You want to kill me? That's not good. My father is Warlock College Antalia's dean, Starlight Aldrich." Warlock College Antalia's dean. Yang Feng's main body in the distance was greatly shaken when he heard that. His eyebrows creased at once. As Warlock College Antalia's dean, one of Tyrannid subcontinent's 6 great forces, Aldrich's strength definitely surpassed that of an ordinary great warlock by far. He was definitely one of Tyrannid subcontinent's most terrifying existences. Eunice was very keenly aware of Yang Feng's hesitation. She gave a sweet smile and said overbearingly, "Hand Shi Shui over to me and I'll forget about today's matters. Otherwise, although I'm unwilling, but as long as I beg my father, your entire Steel City will be razed to the ground." The nearby Shi Shui creased her eyebrows, her beautiful eyes flashed with a touch of worry. She was exceptionally intelligent. After studying in Warlock College Antalya, she was very clear on how formidable and terrifying great Warlock rank experts were. Yang Feng was furious and ordered coldly, "You want me to hand over Shui? That's just wishful thinking. Even if he's Warlock College Antalya's dean, so what? If he dares to come to my Steel City, then I'll invite him to eat a nuclear warhead. I want to see whether a great warlock or a nuclear warhead is more powerful. Go, get rid of this slut." The beast-type bladed troops' compound eyes flashed with a red glint, their figures shook and they pounced towards Eunice with extreme ferocity. "Yang Feng, you've got some nerve, you actually dare to attack me. My father definitely won't let you off." Eunice looked at the incomparably savage beast-type bladed troops, her complexion finally changed greatly, she screamed loudly, her figure flashed and she madly fled towards the jungle. This area had already been surrounded by the beast-type bladed troops that Yang Feng had mobilized. Eunice had just moved, when 5 beast-type bladed troops blocked in front of her, brandishing their alloy blades and fiercely chopping at her. Chapter 67. Get out of my way. Eunice uttered a shriek, the starlight all over her body condensed into a huge ring, it madly shook and forcibly sent those 5 beast-type bladed troops flying. After Eunice sent those 5 beast-type bladed troops flying, her figure flickered and she quickly fled towards the outside. Those beast-type bladed troops' figures continuously flickered, they madly pounced at Eunice from all directions in an attempt to prevent her from escaping. Eunice frantically operated the starlight around her body, sending those beast-type bladed troops flying one by one. After sending several tens of beast-type bladed troops flying in succession, Eunice's protective starlight had already become dim and lightless. An ice snow whip suddenly shot out from the ground, it fiercely lashed at Eunice's tender body, it smashed Eunice's protective starlight, a terrifying ice-cold force instantly enveloped her body, sealing half of her body in ice. As if an ice queen surrounded by an ice-cold force field, Shi Shui jumped onto the shoulder of a beast-type bladed troop. She looked down at Eunice and said with a contemptuous smile, "Lowly sow, you've finally fallen into my hands." That group of beast-type bladed troops at once surrounded her from all directions, countless insect-like electronic compound eyes coldly stared at Eunice, making people feel a chill in their hearts. Eunice's complexion was pale, she said with a cold smile, "So what if I fall into your hands? If you dare to touch me, then my father will absolutely uproot your Steel City, not sparing even a chicken or a dog." Shi Shui's eyebrows creased slightly, she felt that it was very thorny. Warlock College Antalya's dean's daughter couldn't be killed, but also couldn't be released, she was simply a hot potato. "If you think that I can't do anything to you, then you're gravely mistaken." A faceless liquid metal robot walked out from the side, its body twisted and deformed, it directly changed into Yang Feng's appearance, it looked at Eunice and sneered. Eunice glanced at the faceless liquid metal robot, her beautiful eyes blossomed with a peculiar radiance, her temperament changed, revealing a bewitching and amorous expression, and using a sweet voice that could cause one's heart to move, she tempted, "Is this a mechanical golem that can possess and transform? It seems like you really obtained the 6th Warlock dynasty's inheritance. As long as I leak this secret, there won't be a place for you in the entire Tyrannid subcontinent. Why don't we work together to kill your uncle and take control of the City of Steel together? After that, it's not impossible for me to marry you." Eunice was simply one of the most beautiful women Yang Feng had ever seen. Even Shi Shui was currently slightly lacking in her mature and charming style. Once she concentrated on seducing people, even a stone-hearted person like Yang Feng was slightly moved, the flames of desire aroused. Yang Feng said with a light smile, "It's a very good proposal. I admit that I'm a little tempted." Eunice twisted her body slightly to make herself look more charming. She had always been a peerless beauty that could make men go crazy. She was a woman that could cause the downfall of nations and cities. Moreover, she knew how to maximize her charm. Men are indeed fools who think with their lower bodies. After this, he would definitely think of a way to kill this idiot, and then grasp everything he had in his hands. If I can obtain the secrets of the 6th Warlock Dynasty's Mechanical Golem Legion, then I might even be able to contend against that person. Eunice looked at Yang Feng with coquettish eyes, the corners of her mouth rose slightly and a touch of contempt flashed in the depths of her eyes. A man like Yang Feng who was easily captivated by beauty, Eunice looked down on such a waste from the bottom of her heart. Yang Feng's words changed and he said with a cold smile, "Unfortunately, I don't believe you." Eunice's smile stiffened slightly, then her eyes reddened and pearl-like tears trickled down from her beautiful eyes. She sobbed pitifully in a low voice, "That's too much. I was only joking with you, do you have to bully me like this? Yang Feng, you're too much. I'll apologize, alright?" Yang Feng looked at Eunice's performance with a ridiculing expression and remained silent. After a few minutes, rumbling sounds of aircrafts flying over came from the sky. Gunner troops suspended by parachutes dropped from the sky and directly descended towards this area, as if a celestial maiden scattering flowers. Eunice looked at the densely packed gunner troops in the sky, her pretty face suddenly paled and she exclaimed, "Large-scale mechanical golems, so many of them. Bladed troops with battle prowess comparable to that of a pinnacle level 1 warlock, in the eyes of a level 2 warlock, mechanical golems were already considered treasures. The densely packed gunner troops and bladed troops joining hands could completely defeat or even kill a level 2 warlock. Even a level 3 warlock, if they were the slightest bit careless, then they might also fall. Eunice's status was more noble than that of many states' princesses, but even so, she still didn't have such a large mechanical golem guard. A gunner troop arrived in front of Yang Feng and extended its large hand, the large mechanical hand's palm split open, revealing an iron box. Yang Feng received the iron box and opened it, revealing a blood-red syringe. He picked up the blood-red syringe, a smile on his face and walked towards Eunice in large strides. Eunice looked at Yang Feng who was walking towards her, a trace of an ominous premonition welled up in her heart. She said somewhat fearfully, "What do you want to do?" Yang Feng revealed a trace of a fiendish smile. "This is a liquid metal nanorobot elixir that I developed by combining modern technology with Warlock's research on biology and human neurology. It has an extremely strong control over the human body. Congratulations on becoming the first user of this elixir." Eunice's beautiful eyes immediately shed tears, her beautiful eyes flashed with a touch of fear, she continuously struggled and wailed, "No. Don't. Yang Feng, let me go, I can give you enormous wealth. I can help you prepare a huge amount of resources to promote to a level 2 warlock. Let me go. I beg you." In Tyrannid subcontinent, on the surface, large-scale human experiments were prohibited. However, human experiments on slaves and death row prisoners had never stopped. Eunice had seen many mortal slaves turn into warped and terrifying monsters under the experiments of all kinds of alchemy elixirs. She didn't want to be injected with a strange alchemy elixir. Yang Feng's face carried a smile, he didn't have the slightest bit of leniency, he fiercely pricked Eunice's snow-white neck with the blood-red elixir and directly injected it into her body while Eunice was struggling. Yang Feng smiled and said, "All right. Schwer, this fierce beast is already under control. You can undo her ice seal." Schwer gave a sweet smile, silently recited a few incantations and pointed towards Eunice. The ice shrouding Eunice immediately collapsed. Once Eunice regained her freedom, she silently recited an incantation, waved her lily-white hands and at once enveloped her body with radiance from several detection spells. Yang Feng smiled slightly and immediately snapped his fingers. Chapter 68. Bursts of ecstasy and ecstasy were transmitted from Eunice's limbs and bones, every inch of her skin and every inch of her bones, making her eyes blurry and paralyzed on the ground, powerless to budge. Yang Feng smiled as he once again snapped his fingers. Bursts of pain, as if ants were gnawing on every inch of Eunice's skin and every inch of her bones. Her whole body was itching and aching, as if her soul was itching and aching. She foamed at the mouth, tears and snot flowed out uncontrollably. She no longer had the demeanor of a peerless beauty, as if she had turned into an ugly, lowly, drug addict. Eunice foamed at the mouth, her eyes turned white as she pleaded with difficulty, "Spare me. Let me go. I beg, please. I am willing to do anything." Yang Feng once again snapped his fingers. Eunice's abnormal condition disappeared, she curled up and gasped for breath, her beautiful eyes finally flashed with a whiff of fear as she looked at Yang Feng. Shue's beautiful eyes flashed with a whiff of a peculiar splendor, she recited an incantation and pointed with her lily-white hand, streams of ice-cold air condensed into an ice mirror in front of Eunice, she said with a sneer, "Come, take a look at your current appearance. The daughter of the noble warlock College Antalia's dean, what has become of you? Even the most despicable bitch is much better looking than you right now." Eunice saw her battered and exhausted appearance, her pretty face changed slightly, her heart was filled with hatred, yet she didn't dare to refute, she only lowered her head, her beautiful eyes flashed with a resentful radiance. "Bastard, you actually dared to make me like this, Yang Feng, I'll definitely kill you." That malicious thought had just spun, bursts of itching pain as if ants were gnawing on Eunice's skin, bones and flesh were once again transmitted, tormenting her to the point of unbearable pain. She weakly fell to the ground, rolling and struggling in pain, foamed at the mouth, tears and snot continuously flowed down, a yellow liquid directly flowed down from below, it was an incomparably miserable sight. Yang Feng overlooked the painfully struggling Eunice and said with a cold smile, "Eunice, the nanorobots inside your body have already merged with your body and soul. This is the crystallization of 6th Warlock Dynasty's technology and modern Warlock's technology, it's impossible for you to hide your thoughts from me. As long as you have the slightest malicious intent towards me, you will end up like this." Eunice pleaded painfully, "I don't dare anymore. Spare me. Spare me." Yang Feng snapped his fingers. Eunice, who was covered in sweat and emitting bursts of stench, no longer had the demeanor of a peerless beauty, heaved a sigh of relief. She looked at Yang Feng with her beautiful eyes brimming with fear, as if she was looking at a fiend. Shui covered her nose and laughed lightly as she ridiculed, "The daughter of the noble warlock College Antalia's dean is really filthy, stinky and disgusting. Go and wash your body. It stinks." A bladed troop moved a large wooden barrel over and placed it on the ground. Eunice was ashamed and angry, she had never suffered such humiliation. 2 lines of painful and humiliating tears finally flowed out, she was incomparably miserable. She took off the already smelly warlock's chongpao, revealing her beautiful and moving tender body, she entered the wooden barrel filled with cold water and washed her body. Yang Feng looked at the scene of the beautiful and alluring Eunice bathing, he suddenly felt that something was wrong and said in a low voice, "Wait a minute, I feel like I've become a bad person." Shui revealed a trace of a seductive smile, her lily-white fingers lightly tapped her lips, her whole body emitted a bewitching aura of a witch, "Of course not. Guji, you didn't do anything wrong. This woman is so malicious, she must be properly punished. Give her to me, I'll certainly educate her properly and let her become a well-behaved and obedient good child like Judy." After Eunice finished bathing, she resisted her shame and changed her clothes in front of Yang Feng. That graceful and beautiful posture made Yang Feng's eyes brighten. Eunice was originally the most beautiful and most graceful woman Yang Feng had ever seen. Shui still had to grow up to be more beautiful than her. Her only shortcoming was that she was too malicious, she was brimming with hostility towards Yang Feng. In fact, Eunice's temperament couldn't be considered to be too malicious, just like an ordinary warlock, she didn't put anyone below the official warlock rank in her eyes. Trux and the other apprentice warlocks regarded mortals as ants, Eunice, this kind of official warlock, similarly regarded apprentice warlocks like Yang Feng as ants. Yang Feng swept Eunice with a glance and said lightly, "What's going on with the Gloom Cave? Is this matter true or false? If you lie to me, then you should know the consequences." Eunice thought of that inhuman pain a moment ago, her body shivered and she promptly said, "This information is true. There were some apprentice warlocks who once entered, those who came out alive took out items that proved that it was the Gloom Cave inside. However, it's extremely dangerous inside, even level 3 apprentice warlocks who entered would have a slim chance of survival. Those who came back alive, it wasn't because they were strong, but rather because they were lucky. They weren't killed by the defensive traps and the strange phenomena inside. Yang Feng suddenly said with a smile, "Those apprentice warlocks who came back alive as well as all those who knew about it died at your hands, right?" Eunice at once went silent, then said lightly, "Yes." Gloom Cave, this kind of relic of the third warlock dynasty, is simply priceless. Once a treasure is unearthed from inside, then it's possible to create a formidable warlock group. Yet there's no information about that kind of relic. It's obvious that those who knew about it are already dead. Eunice used that relic to continuously lure all kinds of apprentice warlocks, making them think that they obtained the information by chance. Then, like moths flying into a flame, they entered the relic to look for all kinds of treasures, and finally died at her hands. Yang Feng said, "You should be very clear about the situation inside." Eunice said, "No, those who entered are some apprentice warlocks. They can only go around in the outermost region, they basically can't enter the core region. Even in the outermost region, a strange freak or a strange phenomenon can kill an official level 1 warlock. Without the strength of a great warlock rank, it's basically impossible to safely enter this relic. I only know about the outermost region." Yang Feng said doubtfully, "Isn't your father Starlight Aldrich? Why don't you tell him? With his strength, he should be able to easily enter this Gloom Cave's headquarters." Eunice at once went silent. She's obviously unwilling to answer Yang Feng's question. "Gitch asked you a question, you have to properly answer it, understand? You lowly sow." Shi Shui gave a sweet smile and directly snapped her fingers. That numb and itchy, as if it could make people go crazy, at once spread throughout Eunice's body, tormenting her until she knelt on the ground. Eunice screamed in pain and gave a horrifying answer, "I want to kill him. He's the one I hate the most, and the one I'm most afraid of. I want to kill him." Chapter 69. Yang Feng was gobsmacked. He didn't expect that Eunice's biggest backer, Warlock College Antalia's dean, Starlight Aldrich, would unexpectedly be the person she wanted to kill the most. He almost thought that he had misheard, or that Eunice was lying. But judging from the feedback from the liquid metal nanorobots, everything Eunice said was true. "Why?" Yang Feng snapped his fingers. Eunice's abnormalities disappeared. Eunice gasped for breath. Her expression was gloomy as she said in a low voice, "My mother is my elder sister." Yang Feng didn't have a startled expression when he heard that. In order to maintain the purity of the blood meridians, to cultivate the next generation with even more outstanding soul aptitudes. In Tyrandit subcontinent, close relatives marrying wasn't a rare thing. Many warlock clans had the custom of close relatives marrying. The result of close relatives marrying from warlock clans was the birth of many deformed offsprings as well as some outstanding geniuses with extremely strong soul aptitudes and pure blood meridians. Those deformed offsprings would be abandoned, while those outstanding geniuses with pure blood meridians would be heavily cultivated. Eunice was the offspring of Aldrich and his daughter. Yang Feng didn't find it too strange. Instead, he was somewhat surprised by Eunice's reaction. After all, this was very common in the world of warlocks. "My mother gave birth to a total of 2 daughters, one is my elder sister, the other is me. My mother is his daughter. This is also very common in warlock clans. I don't have any complaints about this. But that bastard, when I was 8 years old, he defiled my elder sister. Moreover, he extracted her blood meridians and used her as a sacrifice to a devil from another plane in exchange for power." When Eunice sat up to hear, her beautiful eyes surged with a touch of hatred and fear. Her tender body continuously trembled because of fear. When Yang Feng heard up to hear, his eyebrows couldn't help but crease slightly. The world of warlocks was very cruel. In order to obtain power, those warlocks were practically unscrupulous. Some formidable warlocks with evil natures, in order to obtain a small step forward, would even slaughter their own descendants and relatives, extracting their blood meridians to enhance their own power. Obviously, Aldrich was a formidable warlock who would stop at nothing in order to obtain power. The power of our clan's blood meridians comes from the star boundary's ancient life form star Stone Crow. After reaching adulthood, the ancient life form Star Stone Crow was a formidable being comparable to a level 5 Starry Sky Warlock and could freely manipulate star force. The bloodline of the stellar Stone Crows has become very thin in our family's history. That bastard's talent was extraordinary. With the help of blood meridians, it only took him 300 years to promote to a great warlock, and then he was unable to break through for 600 years. In order to obtain an even purer bloodline and break the shackles of the bloodline, I have to go through all of them. That beast created a large number of offspring, then extracted the bloodline of the purest offspring, carried out a blood sacrifice, and made a deal with a devil from another plane to purify his own bloodline. My sister and I have the purest bloodline power among his descendants. With the power of my bloodline, even if I don't work hard, I won't be able to defeat him. He could also slowly promote to a level 3 warlock by relying on the power of his blood meridians, and also have a glimmer of hope to promote to a great warlock in the future. That bastard killed my own sister just like that. He's still absorbing the power of his own bloodline. After he absorbs my sister's bloodline, I'll be next. Eunice's beautiful eyes flashed with a touch of fear, her body trembled and her beautiful eyes flickered with hatred and fear. Eunice glared at Yang Feng with some hatred, her face was gloomy as she said in a low voice, "That's why I said that all men under the heavens aren't anything good. That's to say, I've still caught a big trouble." Yang Feng's complexion sank, his eyebrows were shrouded in a layer of haze, he was silent for a moment and then asked, "When will Aldrich finish absorbing your sister's blood meridians?" Eunice revealed a trace of a smile of schadenfreude, "It should be within the next few years. I'm his woman. If you make a move on me, then he definitely won't let you off. These past few years, no one dared to pursue me, because those who pursued me have all turned into dead people." Yang Feng said lightly, "A few years? That's enough. If he comes looking for me, then I'll definitely give him a pleasant surprise." According to NR 3796's feedback, the nuclear weapons pre-technological construction had already been upgraded, and 100 nuclear warheads had already started construction. If conventional weapons were unable to threaten a great warlock, then a nuclear purge could definitely give a great warlock rank expert a pleasant surprise. Tarandit subcontinent's area was extremely vast, it was even larger than Earth's area. And Tarandit subcontinent was merely one of the countless subsidiary subcontinents surrounding the main continent. Even if Tarandit subcontinent was destroyed by a nuclear purge, then Yang Feng could still easily escape to another subcontinent. With the portable fortified stronghold, no matter where Yang Feng escaped to, he could still quickly stage a comeback. Of course, if it wasn't a last resort, then he also didn't want to abandon his foundation. After all, every place had its original forces. Once he escaped to another place, then he would have to fight with that place's original forces, fighting over resources and land for survival. Eunice looked at Yang Feng brimming with confidence, her beautiful eyes flashed with a touch of bewilderment. In Tarandit subcontinent, anyone who was an enemy of Starlight Aldrich would have a huge headache. Even among great warlock rank experts, only a few were Aldrich's match. Yang Feng was but a trifling level 3 apprentice warlock, yet he didn't care about Aldrich's threat. Eunice was very curious about what trump card he had to deal with Aldrich. Yang Feng's mind moved, 2 faceless liquid metal robots immediately walked out from the side. Yang Feng threw a helmet at Eunice, "Put this helmet on." Eunice's mind moved, then she obediently put the helmet on. Soon after, countless information was continuously transmitted to Eunice from the helmet. The faceless liquid metal robot twisted and quickly transformed into Eunice's appearance. Such a miraculous technique. Worthy of being the 6th Warlock Dynasty's mechanical golems. Eunice, who was possessing the liquid metal robot, opened her eyes, looked at the body lying on the side, took out a mirror and carefully examined it for a moment, then praised. Among the 8 great Warlock dynasties, each Warlock dynasty established an incomparably brilliant civilization, possessing unique magical techniques. The 6th Warlock dynasty's mechanical golem legion was one of them. Eunice creased her eyebrows and said unhurriedly, "Its appearance is practically identical, but it's unable to use spells. Its perception is also inferior to that of the body. Compared to a genuine embodiment technique, it's still quite lacking. Its only advantage is that it can still be used when one's strength is very weak." Warlock's methods were extremely strange. Great warlock rank experts could create another embodiment and use it to walk the earth. Some formidable warlocks could refine embodiments that were even more formidable than their true bodies. On the other side, Shui also put on a helmet and possessed the body of another mechanical golem. Chapter 70. Yang Feng's gaze fell on the four corpses and he said with a light smile, "What tenacious vitality, they still haven't died. Pierre, Anne, I am surprised that you are both still alive." Two of the four corpses on the ground moved slightly. With a pale complexion, Pierre got up, wiped the bloodstains from the corners of his mouth, and knelt in front of Yang Feng, saying loudly, "Pierre is willing to swear allegiance to Yang Feng Darren henceforth, to Darren's family for generations to come. Please take me in, Darren." Anya's pretty complexion changed, she imperceptibly glanced at Eunice beside her, she promptly knelt in front of Yang Feng and said loudly, "Anya is willing to pledge allegiance to Yang Feng Darren, please take me in. No matter what request you have, Annie will comply completely." Pierre and Anya, the two of them were very smart, they knew that after hearing Yang Feng's secret, they were now in a perilous situation. The only way to survive was to become Yang Feng's people, only then would there be a chance of survival. Pierre and Anne were kneeling on the ground, their heads bowed, their bodies stiff, their backs streaming with cold sweat, and their hearts filled with terror. "Put on this headband and collar. This headband can detect your thoughts, and this collar is equipped with alchemy bombs. If you have any unfavorable thoughts about us, this collar will blow your brains out. Of course, you can choose not to wear it." Yang Feng looked at Pierre and Anya kneeling on the ground with a smile that wasn't a smile, he waved his hand and two bladed troops walked towards Pierre and Anya while holding two sets of black collars and silver rings. Yang Feng didn't believe in Pierre's oath, for him, it was still safer to use technological means. Without a word, Pierre took the black collar and bracelet and put them on. Annie hesitated for a moment before she gritted her teeth and put on the collar and the bracelet. "Get up," Yang Feng said lightly. Pierre and Nikolai got up, and a chill ran down their backs. As time passed, the moon rose into the sky. Rays of moonlight fell on the ground, and then, under the guidance of a mysterious force, it slowly moved towards the huge crack. In the end, it condensed into a beam of moonlight and entered the crack. Eunice suddenly said, "You can go in." Yang Feng nodded slightly and took the lead in striding towards the rift. Eunice and Shui also attached themselves to the liquid metal robot and walked towards the crack. The densely packed beast-type bladed troops, gunner troops and artillery troops also followed behind Yang Feng into the crack. The gloom cave could possibly contain a peerless treasure like the golden blood. As long as he obtains golden blood, then Yang Feng may once again have a breakthrough, break the shackles of his soul aptitude, and have hope of promoting to a level 1 warlock. Under the illumination of the moonlight, a staircase condensed from moonlight formed in that unfathomably deep crack. The staircase formed by the condensation of moonlight directly floated in the void, as if it was connected to a dark space, and then disappeared in the void. Yang Feng waved his hand, a beast-type bladed troop immediately stepped forward, walked down the moonlight stairs step by step, and then suddenly disappeared at the end of the moonlight stairs. Unknown energy field interference. According to the analysis of the data in the current database, the energy force field should be the interference force field formed by the life force particles of warlocks and other energy particles. Long-distance data link failed. Do you want to use your current spiritual vessel as the main body to form a new close-range command center? A string of information flashed in Yang Feng's mind. Yang Feng ordered, "Yes. Use my current spiritual vessel as the main body to form a new close-range command center." Understood, starting the smart chip's reconstruction. The remaining time to completion is 10 seconds. A gunner troop came from the side, held 10 high-energy batteries, and pressed them on Yang Feng's body. From Yang Feng's body, ports extended, directly pierced into the high-energy batteries, and absorbed the energy of the 10 high-energy batteries. A piece of smart chip quickly condensed in the brain of the liquid metal robot Yang Feng possessed. Reconstruction complete. A notification sound sounded. Yang Feng could clearly perceive the information of a total of 765 level 7 primary battle robots around him. Yang Feng's eyebrows creased slightly as he said, NR 3796, if I enter the relic like this, won't the radio waves be disturbed by the force field? Once this body enters the relic, it won't become paralyzed, right? It won't. Owner, you are my host. Your soul has already been transformed and strengthened, and possesses the characteristics of a Shi clan. No matter how many tens of thousands of li apart, no matter what kind of place, you can use robots to enter and adventure. Even if other people possess the same technology, they still wouldn't be able to achieve this. Eunice and Shi Shui, as long as the two of them are within a 20 radius of you, they can also receive the protection of your soul, and enter the relic with their mechanical bodies. Yang Feng felt relieved, and directly walked along the moonlight-formed stairs in large strides. He continuously walked along the moonlight-formed stairs. When he reached the bottom of the stairs, almost stepping on empty air, suddenly his eyes blurred, and very strangely appeared in a dark passageway. In front of Yang Feng stood the bladed troop that was the first to explore the path. The two women, Shi Shui, followed the huge mechanical legion and entered the gloom cave's passageway one by one. A bladed troop turned on its searchlight, at once illuminated the passageway. On both sides of the passageway, there were shelves, specially used to carry magic crystal lamps. However, at this moment, there wasn't a single magic crystal lamp on the shelves. Obviously, it had already been taken away by the people who entered first. Yang Feng carefully sized up the surroundings. He discovered that behind him, there was also a long passageway leading to who knows where. Yang Feng's eyebrows creased slightly as he said, "How do we go out?" Eunice's eyebrows creased slightly as she carefully sized up the surroundings. After passing through this passageway, there will be a fork. Above each fork is a mural. At the end of the skull mural fork, there's a teleportation array. Through the teleportation array, we can leave this place. The lion mural fork is the path leading to the Gloom Cave's headquarters. The dark elf mural fork, no one has ever come out of it alive. Let's go. Yang Feng and his entourage walked along the passageway. After walking for several kilometers, Yang Feng passed through the passageway and arrived at a plaza. The plaza looked as if it was licked clean by a dog. Nothing was left behind. On the other side of the plaza, there were 3 forks. Above each fork was engraved a lifelike mural. The 3 murals were respectively a skull, a huge golden lion, and a gorgeous and enchanting dark elf. Chapter 71. Yang Feng waved his hand and a bladed troop immediately walked towards the skull mural fork. After walking for approximately 3 kilometers, a teleportation array appeared at the bottom of the skull mural fork. After the bladed troop stepped onto the teleportation array, a radiance flashed and it immediately disappeared. There's no problem, it's indeed possible to teleport out. The teleportation location is within a valley 600 kilometers north of the obscure mountain range. Once the bladed troop went out, NR 3796 quickly found it and sent the information back to Yang Feng's body. After ensuring the route of retreat, Yang Feng ordered a bladed troop to walk towards the Dark Elves' mural fork. Although Eunice couldn't lie to Yang Feng, but Yang Feng still wanted to see what was inside the Dark Elves' mural fork. Recording a bit more data would be of great benefit to NR 3796's database. The more data NR 3796 had in his database, the more comprehensive the data, the more useful it would be, and it would be able to deduce countless branches of technology. Once he entered the Dark Elves' mural fork, Yang Feng, through the bladed troop's optical perception system, saw the wall engraved with all kinds of strange colors. It was like a chaotic abstract painting. Yang Feng only saw 13 of those strange murals. He felt a burst of dizziness and pain in his brain, but his eyes couldn't leave those murals. It was as if his mind and soul were deeply attracted by those strange murals. Warning! Warning! The target murals have a hypnotic effect. The host's spirit force is unable to resist the mural's hypnotic effect. Immediately cut off the image transmission. A warning suddenly sounded. Yang Feng's eyes darkened and he couldn't see anything. He gasped for breath. The back of his body was already drenched in cold sweat. Yang Feng's back was drenched in cold sweat, he thought with lingering fear, truly strange. A mural can kill people, the existence of warlocks, it's really too outrageous. Yang Feng already had the cultivation of a level 3 apprentice warlock. If placed on Earth, his physical constitution would definitely be a superhuman existence. But he couldn't even read a few murals, that formidable warlock's methods were extremely strange. Do you want to record these murals into the database? According to the analysis of the existing data, after you promote to a level 3 warlock, then you can view these murals. So long as you can view these murals, then you'll be able to slightly increase your spirit force for the first time. Yang Feng said decisively, yes. Spirit force was the core of most warlocks' cultivation. Even if it was a body-tempering warlock with an incomparably formidable fleshly body, they would never let go of the cultivation of their spirit force. Things that could increase spirit force were all good treasures, Yang Feng would never let them slip by. There are a lot of corpses in this tunnel. Do you want to collect any useful items from the corpses? For example, magical stones, secret treasures, and materials. Yang Feng was overjoyed, collect them at once. Ever since he obtained Fernandro family's war reparations and established Steel City, Yang Feng had always been rich and overbearing, almost never worrying about money. But after studying in Warlock College Antalya, he discovered that he was really too poor. The price of a level 1 spell model was as high as 8,000 magic stones. The more powerful level 2 spell models, level 3 spell models, and level 4 spell models were even more expensive. Level 1 spell models could also be bought with magic stones. Spell models of level 2 and above were all very precious and basically had a price but no supply. As for level 3 and level 4 spell models, they were even more rare and precious. They could only be bought in some large-scale auctions between warlocks. Inside Black Cottage, there was only a somewhat dilapidated level 2 spell model and a half-completed level 3 spell model. Therefore, Black Cottage's Master Bonnie had implanted a fiend's blood meridians and chose to use fiend form to enhance his battle prowess. After all, he had practically no possibility of making any progress on the orthodox warlock path. Yang Feng was now extremely thirsty for wealth, he naturally wasn't willing to let go of any resources. Understood. 8 slender mechanical arms ejected from an external device on the back of the bladed troop and began to collect the useful items from the corpses. That strange mural could easily hypnotize and kill all kinds of life forms, yet it had no effect on the bladed troop. Reached the bottom, there are no abnormalities, requesting to return. Return. Shortly after receiving the order, the bladed troop carried a large bag of junk and returned. Yang Feng counted the obtained spoils of war and said somewhat discontentedly, level 0 spell books, level 0 secret treasures, expired elixirs, 2,300 gold coins, 234 magic stones. These guys are really paupers. Eunice covered her mouth and chuckled. Those who were tricked by her into entering the Gloom Cave's ruins were basically all apprentice warlocks. Most of those apprentice warlocks were paupers, it was naturally impossible for them to have any good treasures for Yang Feng to plunder. This is a soul stone. Furthermore, it's a superior soul stone. This time I picked up a treasure. Yang Feng's eyes suddenly lit up, he picked up a gray stone from the pile of junk, his eyes flashed with a whiff of excitement as he laughed heartily. Eunice looked at that soul stone, her eyes flashed with a whiff of envy and jealousy. A soul stone, it's actually a superior soul stone, he's really a lucky bastard. Soul stones were something that only great warlock rank and above experts or some beings with pure and formidable soul force had died. After undergoing a variety of strange rituals, they were condensed and refined into an existence. Superior soul stones in the world of gods with gods, the ancient demonic realm with countless formidable fiends, the abyss world with countless demonic creatures and the hell world with countless devils, they were all hard currency. One of the greatest functions of this superior soul stone was to refine an embodiment with soul force. Only by using an embodiment of a soul stone could experts above the great warlock rank be able to freely cast a variety of formidable spells using the embodiment as if it was their true body. In Tyrannid subcontinent, at the very least, a great warlock rank expert or above would be required to slaughter more than 5 million humans, only then would it be possible to refine a superior soul stone. Although mortals were like ants in the eyes of warlocks. But mortals were also the basis of existence in the world of warlocks. Any act of massacring mortals, once discovered, would be directly exterminated by the major warlock groups. That superior soul stone could be said to be very precious and incomparably rare. Yang Feng was all smiles as he put away the superior soul stone, then took his mechanical legion towards the lion mural on the fork road. Chapter 72. At the end of the fork was a huge bronze wall. An oil painting of an ancient black dragon was hung on the huge bronze wall. That oil painting of an ancient black dragon had existed for an unknown amount of time, the ink on it didn't have the slightest trace of fading. The ancient black dragon in the oil painting was vivid and lifelike, as if it was alive. Simultaneously traces of faint dragon's might were diffusing from the oil painting. Discovered a formidable life force pressure field. According to the scanning analysis, the energy force field and the legendary dragons might have a 95% similarity, capable of deterring inferior life forms. Level 3 apprentice warlocks and below are unable to resist this life force pressure field. Compared to the genuine dragon's might, the energy intensity is too low. A line of information flashed in Yang Feng's mind. Yang Feng thought within, I don't feel anything, that's to say, when using the liquid metal robot, apart from not feeling any pain, the other senses will also be greatly weakened, and can be immune to pressure-type force fields. Yang Feng's gaze turned and fell on Eunice's body. Eunice promptly explained, this oil painting is the entrance to Gloom Cave. Directly walk through it and you'll be able to enter Gloom Cave's remains. Yang Feng waved his hand, a bladed troop immediately walked towards the oil painting. That bladed troop had just approached 50 m away from the oil painting, when its body suddenly shrunk, as if it had stepped on an invisible staircase. It walked towards the oil painting. The closer it got to the oil painting, the smaller the bladed troop's body became, finally becoming the size of a palm. It came in contact with the black dragon's bloody maw, setting off bursts of ripples and directly entered inside. When Yang Feng saw this scene, his eyes flashed with a whiff of admiration. Warlock's power is truly mystical. For ordinary people, this kind of entrance was simply unimaginable. Only those terrifying level 3 warlock and above experts would have such means. Yang Feng took the lead and walked towards the oil painting. Along with Yang Feng continuously advancing, a kind of strange and distorted feeling appeared on his body. He could clearly see that the oil painting was getting bigger and bigger. No matter how much he walked, he was unable to approach the oil painting. Finally, that enormous black dragon's maw filled his field of vision. A deep and bottomless passageway appeared before his eyes. Yang Feng stepped into that bottomless passageway, bursts of ripples flashed, his eyes brightened. He discovered that he had appeared in an incomparably vast space. In that incomparably vast space, the light was somewhat dim. The entire space seemed to be filled with a layer of extremely gloomy and extremely oppressive, a strange and suffocating aura. Someone else came in. They're screwed. Of them. Someone else came in. A huge peach with the face of an old man and the size of half an adult man was speaking in an innocent childlike voice, while another huge peach with the face of a child and the size of half an adult man was singing a strange song, giggling and hopping over to them. As soon as the two huge peaches approached Yang Feng, he saw that around the two huge human faces on their bodies, there was a circle of malevolent human faces howling in pain. It caused one's hair to stand on end. Eunice's pretty face changed slightly as she warned, this is an evil being, the human-faced peach. It's a strange monster born from the interweaving of a spiritual body, a mutated plant, and a warlock's formidable life force. It's a strange existence between a spiritual body and a living body. Physical attacks are practically ineffective against it. They were curse-type freaks. Even level 1 warlocks could be killed by these freaks. The souls of those they kill will be bound to their bodies and become the source of their power. Yang Feng looked at the two creepy human-faced peaches, frowned slightly, and waved his hand. Two bladed troops stepped forward in a flash, pulled out their alloy blades and madly chopped at the two human-faced peaches. The two human-faced peaches were chopped into countless pieces in response. Traces of black cheese spread out from the two human-faced peaches, condensing into human heads that suddenly flew up and fiercely pounced towards the two bladed troops. An unknown energy force field is eroding. According to the analysis, the energy force field's erosive power towards life forms is enormous and can cause harm to the bodies of level 2 Warlock rank life forms. The corrosive effect on the unit is minimal. A series of information was quickly fed back from one of the bladed troops. The human-faced peach was a strange existence between a spiritual body and a living body. It was an extremely huge threat towards humans and all kinds of intelligent life forms. But towards steel products like the bladed troops, it was an extremely small threat. After all, the bladed troops didn't have souls. If a squad of level 3 warlocks were to encounter such a strange existence like the human-faced peach, then they would easily be eaten by it and their souls would also become its nutrients. The human-faced peaches capable of exterminating level 1 warlocks turned into human faces and continuously gnawed at the two bladed troops, yet they didn't have any effect. They weren't even able to leave a trace of a white mark on their bodies. Yang Feng waved his hand and a gunner troop equipped with two external flamethrowers immediately stepped forward. The two flamethrowers at once sprayed two long flames and completely engulfed the two bladed troops. Under the burning of those terrifying flames, the two human-faced peaches at once issued mournful screams. Countless black auras were directly incinerated and purified by those flames. With regards to spiritual bodies as well as a lot of strange phenomena, flames, holy light and dark energy were existences capable of restraining them. In the past 2 years, Yang Feng had been madly studying all kinds of knowledge. He had spent a lot of effort in researching the existences that he was most afraid of. Moreover, he had in ARC 3796 develop a lot of weapons to deal with those strange existences. Ah! You'll all die. You'll all become fertilizer for our flowers. From within the black smoke came incomparably mournful screams, then flew away from the two bladed troops and congregated in midair into countless distorted and strange existences formed from the condensation of human faces. They ferociously cursed the bladed troops, then turned into two streams of black smoke and flew towards the depths of Gloom Cave. These spiritual bodies and strange phenomena are indeed the most troublesome existences. For the current me. Yang Feng looked at the two streams of black smoke and his eyebrows creased slightly as he thought. After repelling the two incomparably sinister human-faced peaches, Yang Feng took the huge mechanical legion and continued to advance. Just after advancing for a short while, Yang Feng saw all kinds of skeletons on both sides of the road. Each skeleton exuded a gloomy and incomparably strange aura. He didn't know whether or not they died under the hands of the incomparably sinister human-faced peaches. After passing through the strange fog for a while, on both sides of the main road appeared gargoyle statues up to 6 m tall, pitch black, with a pair of wings on their back and eyes embedded with rubies. The gargoyle statues were densely packed, and at a glance, there were huge gargoyle statues everywhere. Chapter 73. Gargoyles. These are bronze gargoyles. Be careful, ancient warlocks are extremely fond of using bronze gargoyles as guards. If these bronze gargoyles were to be mobilized, each one's battle prowess would be comparable to that of a level 1 warlock. They possess formidable defensive power as well as various resistances. Curse-type spells are completely ineffective against them. They have extraordinary strength, their claws are extremely sharp and can easily tear apart all kinds of defensive force fields. Only elemental spells such as Fireball, that kind of destructive spell, can blast them to pieces, or destroy their energy cores. Only then can they be effectively killed. After Eunice saw those gargoyle statues, her complexion suddenly changed greatly and she immediately warned. Those gargoyle statues number up to 3,000, once they are all resurrected. 3,000 terrifying gargoyles with battle prowess comparable to that of a level 1 warlock. Even a level 3 warlock can be directly killed. When the bladed troop that was exploring the path arrived near a gargoyle, the rubies embedded in the gargoyle's eyes shone. It instantly brandished its huge sharp claws and clawed at the bladed troop's head, directly chopping off its head. The bladed troop immediately chopped backhandedly, 8 huge alloy blades fiercely chopped at the gargoyle's body, forcibly chopping the gargoyle into several pieces. As if poking a hornet's nest, the gargoyles opened their eyes one after another, their ruby-like eyes flickered with a savage radiance, they flapped their wings and pounced towards the bladed troop. More than a dozen gargoyles at once pounced towards the bladed troop. A transparent protective cover emerged from the bladed troop's body. The gargoyles forcefully clawed, their claws easily tore the transparent protective cover to shreds, they ferociously clawed at the bladed troop's body and frantically tore it apart. The more than a dozen gargoyles tore, the bladed troop with battle prowess comparable to that of a pinnacle level 1 warlock was immediately torn apart. The close to 3,000 gargoyles also pounced towards Yang Feng's party with gusts of gale. Eunice saw those 3,000 gargoyles pouncing towards them, her pretty face suddenly changed greatly, she couldn't help but retreat a few steps and almost instinctively wanted to release a defensive spell. Yang Feng ordered coldly, "Fire!" 200 level 7 gunner troops quickly adjusted the muzzles of the Vulcan cannons. Countless tongues of flame sprayed out, forming a metal barrage capable of shattering everything in its path towards the 3,000 gargoyles in the sky. The firepower of the Vulcan cannon can easily tear an armored vehicle to shreds. When the terrifying firepower bombarded the gargoyles, they were blasted into pieces. Among those giant gargoyles, a lot of them forcibly passed through the terrifying barrage, but were intercepted by those equally tyrannical bladed troops. Both sides crazily fought against each other. From time to time, several bladed troops were torn to pieces, but even more of those giant gargoyles were chopped into pieces. What a terrifying mechanical puppet army! With such a formidable mechanical golem legion, unless it's a great warlock rank expert, otherwise, even a level 3 warlock would only end up dead if they encounter it head-on. Eunice watched as the bladed troops and the giant gargoyles crazily fought against each other, her beautiful eyes flashed with a whiff of astonishment. Those 3,000 giant gargoyles already possessed the terrifying strength to kill a level 3 warlock. Currently, the Mechanical Legion only had less than 1,000 units, yet it was able to completely suppress the giant gargoyles. The Mechanical Legion's battle prowess was terrifying, it made Eunice feel extremely shocked. The frantic fighting continued for an entire hour, those 3,000 giant gargoyles were completely chopped into pieces, Yang Feng's 313 mechanical bladed troops as well as 58 mechanical gunner troops were also destroyed by the giant gargoyles. The defense of Gloom Cave's headquarters is really terrifying. If I rashly entered, then even if there were 10,000 of me, I would still die. Yang Feng looked at the fragments of those 3,000 giant gargoyles, his eyes flashed with a whiff of gloominess. If there wasn't the protection of the Mechanical Legion, then with Yang Feng's strength as a level 3 apprentice warlock, entering Gloom Cave's vestige would only lead to death. I originally thought that my current strength was already enough to explore this vestige, but it seems like it's still not enough. I have to mobilize even more troops, only then would it be possible to explore this vestige. NR 3796, immediately send reinforcements. Yang Feng's mind moved, he issued an order to NR 3796 through his true body. Understood. Now immediately dispatch the 1st, 2nd and 3rd Corps to send reinforcements. A voice sounded in Yang Feng's mind. Within Steel City's sphere of influence, the doors of the airport's warehouses opened, Thunder Demon heavy-duty transport aircraft sped out of the hangars in an orderly manner and arrived at the already leveled runway. The densely packed mechanical bladed troops, mechanical gunner troops, mechanical shield troops and mechanical artillery troops formed a mixed legion that stood neatly and orderly entered the Thunder Demon heavy-duty transport aircraft. Rumbling sounds continued, Thunder Demon heavy-duty transport aircraft quickly rose into the air and flew in the direction of Gloom Mountain. After issuing the order, Yang Feng took the huge mechanical legion to continue exploring. After shuttling for several kilometers through a layer of dense fog, a huge botanical garden at once appeared before Yang Feng and his entourage. Moke grass. Star tears flower. Araman snake fruit. Palamani flower. Five-leafed blue tears flower. Heavens, these are all extremely rare plants even in ancient times. I'm rich, this time I'm rich. Even a great warlock would go crazy after seeing this botanical garden. Eunice's eyes couldn't help but brighten up when she saw the various plants in the botanical garden. She cried out involuntarily. The various plants in the botanical garden were all very precious, extraordinary plants. Those plants could be turned into elixirs with very miraculous effects for great warlocks through the hands of warlock pharmacists. Eunice's eyes widened when she saw the 10-meter-tall tree in the center of the botanical garden. It had 9 branches, and each branch had a purple fruit the size of 2 fingers condensed on it. Her voice trembled as she said, "That's the enlightenment fruit. A fruit with the miraculous effect of enlightenment. An enlightenment fruit blooms once every 300 years and bears fruit once every 300 years, a treasure with 9 fruits can be condensed within 600 years. Even if an extremely stupid person ate an enlightenment fruit, they could also become a terrifying sage with a learning ability surpassing that of mortals. This is an almost extinct extraordinary plant. It's also a treasure that we warlocks yearn for even in our dreams. The value of an enlightenment fruit exceeds that of this botanical garden by several tens of times." Chapter 74. Enlightenment Fruit. It's actually such a legendary treasure. I must get it. Yang Feng's eyes lit up when he heard that. He looked at the fruit tree in the center of the botanical garden, his eyes brimming with excitement and greed. Yang Feng, this level 3 apprentice warlock, was purely an inferior level 3 apprentice warlock who had accumulated all kinds of rare elixirs. His learning ability, compared to this world's warlock geniuses, was simply extremely inferior. Even though he used the power of the smart microchip, he could only record all kinds of knowledge inside the smart microchip. Wanting to understand and flexibly use it was simply impossible. Once he ate an enlightenment fruit, Yang Feng's learning ability would increase sharply, reaching the level of this world's warlock geniuses. Henceforth, the speed at which he learned all kinds of knowledge would increase geometrically. Warlocks were extremely formidable because they grasped limitless knowledge. The more formidable the warlock, the greater the amount of knowledge grasped. Only then would they have limitless means to deal with all kinds of formidable beings from various major planes. Eunice suppressed the excitement in her heart, her beautiful eyes flashed with a whiff of worry. She looked at Yang Feng beside her and said, "Enlightenment fruits can only be stored in boxes carved from sapphire. The moment it comes into contact with other containers, it will directly vaporize. The majority of extraordinary plants could be stored in glassware. However, there were also a lot of rare extraordinary plants that had different harvesting methods. With the slightest carelessness, those extraordinary plants would be destroyed." Yang Feng's eyebrows creased slightly, his gaze was somewhat unkind as he stared at Eunice and said in a deep voice, "There's also this matter of attention, Teacher Eunice, the extraordinary botany that you gave me isn't complete." Eunice promptly said, "No, what I gave you was the extraordinary botany foundation. There's no method of harvesting treasures like enlightenment fruits in the foundation. You have to know that in the world of warlocks, knowledge is the most precious wealth. It's impossible for free knowledge to be anything too good. The extraordinary botany that I gave you before was already more than sufficient compared to the information given by many teachers, otherwise, you wouldn't be able to recognize enlightenment fruits." Yang Feng carefully recalled for a moment, then inquired about Black Cottage's Master Bonnie's memories. He discovered that it was indeed as Eunice said, the extraordinary botany knowledge she gave him was by far beyond the extraordinary botany knowledge Bonnie grasped. Yang Feng said lightly, "After returning, I need all of your knowledge." Eunice's expression changed several times. She hesitated for a moment before gritting her teeth and saying, "Yes." Yang Feng's mind moved and the 3-bladed troops immediately walked towards the enlightenment fruits in large strides. Suddenly, 20 m in front of the enlightenment fruit, a palm-sized strange plant with 60% resemblance to a sunflower suddenly enlarged to an incomparably huge size. The center of the flower suddenly opened, revealing beast-like teeth, dripping with saliva. It ferociously bit towards the 3-bladed troops as swift as a clap of thunder that left no time to cover one's ears. The 3-bladed troops didn't have the strength to resist and were ruthlessly bitten by the extremely strange plants. Their bodies burst open, various components ejected from their bodies onto the ground. Ear-piercing chewing sounds came from the strange plant. Yang Feng lost contact with the three-bladed troops at once. After swallowing the three-bladed troops, the strange extraordinary plant at once shrunk and turned into a sunflower-like appearance. Eunice looked at the strange extraordinary plant and warned, "Anima magic rattan man-eating flower, this extraordinary plant has a terrifying attack speed and attack power. Even level 2 warlocks, so long as they enter their range of attack, they'll be swallowed by them in a flash. Under the circumstances where they're unguarded, level 3 warlocks may also be killed by them in a flash. Their only weakness is that their range of attack is too short, merely 30 m. As long as they're more than 30 m away, they can be killed by using the level 1 spell Fireball or similar elemental offensive spells. Attack!" Yang Feng waved his hand and ordered. The two gunner troops in a flash adjusted their muzzles, flames flickered and countless Vulcan artillery shells bombarded the anima magic rattan man-eating flower. The sunflower-like anima magic rattan man-eating flower seemed to have felt that its life was in danger. It suddenly swelled up and turned into a more than 20 m long, 2 m thick magic rattan man-eating flower with countless spikes and the teeth of wild beasts. The countless Vulcan artillery shells bombarded the anima magic rattan man-eating flower's vines, blasting open fist-sized holes. A large amount of white mucus sputtered out from the anima magic rattan man-eating flower's vines. The anima magic rattan man-eating flower madly twisted its body and issued traces of beast-like roars. After a few breaths, the anima magic rattan man-eating flower's vines were smashed by the terrifying shellfire. The three-bladed troops quickly stepped forward, brandished the alloy blades in their hands and chopped the anima magic rattan man-eating flower's body into pieces, crushing its terrifying flower core. After getting rid of the anima magic rattan man-eating flower, the three-bladed troops took large strides towards the Fruit of Enlightenment tree. Suddenly, in the surroundings of the Fruit of Enlightenment tree, an up to 10 m tall enormous flower at once bloomed. A crystal ball in the center of the flower instantly cracked, accompanied by an extremely terrifying dragon might. A dragon breath capable of burning everything was sprayed from the crystal ball towards the three-bladed troops. In the blink of an eye, the three-bladed troops, without any strength to resist, were directly turned into ashes by the dragon breath. At the same time, under the shroud of the dragon breath, nearly half of the botanical garden was directly destroyed by the dragon breath, turning into a stretch of scorched land. Eunice's tender body trembled slightly, her beautiful eyes flashed with a touch of fear and she muttered in a low voice, "Dragon breath. It's actually dragon breath, too terrifying." Dragon breath was the breath of a dragon. An ordinary adult dragon possessed terrifying battle prowess comparable to that of a great warlock. An ancient dragon even possessed terrifying battle prowess comparable to that of a starry sky warlock. An ordinary adult dragon's dragon breath could heavily injure or even kill a great warlock rank expert. Its might was boundless. If one went to pick the enlightenment fruits without taking precautions, then even if a great warlock rank expert was slightly careless, they would also be killed by the dragon breath. Yang Feng saw that more than half of the precious botanical garden had been destroyed. His eyebrows creased. He ordered the three-bladed troops to continue picking the 9 enlightenment fruits. The sealing of the dragon breath was extremely difficult. This time, the three-bladed troops finally smoothly picked the 9 enlightenment fruits from the enlightenment tree. After the 9 enlightenment fruits were picked, all of the precious plants in the botanical garden suddenly withered and withered. The enlightenment tree also withered in a flash, condensing into a blue crystal-like seed. Chapter 75. Eunice sighed somewhat regretfully. After the enlightenment fruit is picked, the enlightenment tree will extract the life essence of the surrounding plants and once again condense into an enlightenment seed. If the surrounding plant's life essence is insufficient, then the enlightenment tree will be unable to condense into an enlightenment seed due to the lack of nutrients. It's because of this habit that they become fewer and fewer. Enlightenment seeds and enlightenment fruits are different. They need to be stored in a ruby box in order to maintain their activity. A bladed troop carefully placed the enlightenment seed into a box carved from a ruby. After collecting the enlightenment seed, Yang Feng somewhat regretfully looked at the ruined botanical garden, then continued to walk towards the interior of Gloom Cave with the huge mechanical legion. On both sides of the road behind the botanical garden, Yang Feng could see broken bones lying on the ground everywhere. traces of gloomy auras continuously diffusing from the bones. Everywhere were the remains of all kinds of buildings, showing that Gloom Cave's headquarters had experienced a terrifying battle. Yang Feng dispatched those bladed troops to search everywhere, but didn't discover any valuable secret treasures. The Third Warlock dynasty had already existed for several tens of thousands of years, apart from some top-secret treasures, or secret treasures preserved using special methods. The majority of secret treasures would have been reduced to scrap metal under the corrosion of such a long time. Although they didn't discover any valuable secret treasures, but there were a lot of extremely precious metals in Gloom Cave. Those extremely precious metal materials were all dismantled by Yang Feng's bladed troops, in preparation to be used as materials to manufacture higher-ranked battle robots. After walking for approximately another 10 kilometers, a densely packed group of warlock pagodas appeared in the center of Gloom Cave. Found it! Yang Feng's spirit was roused, his eyes flashed with a whiff of excitement, then he quickly moved towards the group of warlock pagodas with the huge mechanical legion. When he arrived before the group of warlock pagodas, the excitement in Yang Feng's eyes at once disappeared without a trace. The huge group of warlock pagodas were practically full of broken bricks and tiles, corpses were everywhere, looking ghastly. Yang Feng's mind moved, the remaining mechanical legion entered the group of warlock pagodas one after another and began to search for treasures and valuable things. The mechanical legion shared in our 3796 database, their discernment even surpassed that of a lot of level 1 warlocks. But even so, he didn't gain much from the dilapidated warlock tower complex. He only found a lot of metal materials that could be used to manufacture advanced battle robots. After searching for a full 3 hours, Yang Feng ordered the mechanical legion to stride towards the most luxurious warlock pagoda in the center of the warlock pagoda cluster. In the center of the group of warlock pagodas, there was an up to 300 m tall warlock pagoda. It seemed as if a large part of it had been obliterated by some terrifying tremendous power, yet it still released formidable fluctuations of power. Eunice looked at that huge warlock pagoda and her beautiful eyes flashed with a touch of greed. Mysterious steel magic rock, a first-rate warlock pagoda manufacturing material. Any piece of mysterious steel magic rock, even without any blessing, can withstand the attack of a great warlock rank expert. A warlock tower made entirely of mysterious steel magic rock was really too extravagant. After such a warlock tower was completed, as long as there were enough experts keeping watch, then even a peak starry sky warlock would find it difficult to destroy such a warlock tower. Truly worthy of being a warlock group of the Third Warlock dynasty. Yang Feng waved his hand, a bladed troop immediately stepped forward and brandished its superalloy blade, fiercely chopping at the warlock pagoda. Ding! Along with a crisp sound, the superalloy blade that could easily chop a tank into 2 halves was directly broken. At the place where the warlock pagoda was chopped, not even a trace of a scar was left on the warlock pagoda. A gunner troop stepped forward, its 6-barreled Vulcan cannon madly buzzed, countless tongues of flame bombarded the warlock pagoda, issuing bursts of ear-piercing sounds. After the 6-barreled Vulcan cannon stopped firing, Yang Feng took a careful look. There wasn't any trace left on the warlock pagoda. Yang Feng's eyebrows creased slightly, he waved his hand and the artillery troops with their 150mm large-caliber main artillery, capable of smashing a tank with one shot and sending an infantryman half the size of a football field to hell, directly launched their main artillery. Boom! In a flash, a heavy artillery shell blasted at the dilapidated warlock pagoda, issuing a world-shaking explosion and countless shrapnel splashing in all directions. After the smoke and dust dispersed, Yang Feng took a careful look. At the place where the warlock pagoda was bombarded, only a layer of smoke and scorch marks remained, without the slightest bit of damage to the warlock pagoda. Yang Feng's eyes flashed with a whiff of regret. He cursed in a low voice, "Fuck, with my current strength, wanting to dismantle this warlock pagoda is basically impossible. If the warlock pagoda refined from mysterious steel magic rock could be dismantled and sold, then it would absolutely fetch a sky-high price. Like this, Yang Feng would have enough gold coins and magic stones to use." After circling around the warlock pagoda, a huge hole appeared before Yang Feng's eyes. Yang Feng took the huge mechanical legion and directly entered the warlock pagoda through that huge hole. Once inside the Warlock Pagoda, Yang Feng felt the space become incomparably vast. Looking around, he practically couldn't see the end. Within Yang Feng's mind, NR 3796's somewhat excited voice sounded, "Dimensional space technology. I didn't expect this world's aborigines to actually grasp such technology. It seems like this world's aborigines' level of civilization is extremely high. To use dimensional space technology, dimensional crystals are bound to be used. Owner, this world has dimensional crystals. With the dimensional crystals, then the portable fortified stronghold can be manufactured. Shizu's technology can be unlocked to another level." A bladed troop pointed in a certain direction and said, "According to the energy reaction, it should be in this direction." Yang Feng looked in the direction pointed by the bladed troop, only to see an up to 100 m long western black dragon, covered in black scales from head to toe, looking like a mountain of flesh, entrenched in front of a black door. The huge black dragon's wings and body were pierced by black chains, and there was a huge, bottomless wound on its back, almost cutting it in half. Its body was riddled with scars. A large amount of its scales had already disappeared, revealing all kinds of hair-raising scars. Even so, it still hadn't died. Its heart was still beating slowly. Above the black dragon floated a huge transparent crystal. The crystal was engraved with countless mysterious runes. In the depths of the crystal was a fist-sized dimensional crystal emitting spatial force. Chapter 76. After Eunice saw the adult black dragon, a trace of fear flashed in her beautiful eyes. She reminded, "This is an adult black dragon, the most ferocious, vicious, cunning, and powerful dragon among the pentashade dragons. It has great warlock rank battle prowess at the very least. Yang Feng, be careful, great warlock rank extraordinary life forms are very terrifying. Great warlock rank? And, this is the world of warlocks. The mighty Vedarnia is an ancient black dragon. According to the World of Warlocks division of power, it has starry sky warlock rank strength. That enormous black dragon lying on the ground, with only a heartbeat, slowly opened its eyes and gave them a glance. Its tremendous voice reverberated in the area. Eunice's pretty complexion changed and her voice trembled somewhat. Starry sky warlock. It's actually such a freak. In the entire Tyrannid subcontinent, there were no starry sky warlock rank experts. Even in the main continent, starry sky warlock rank experts were formidable existences that could proclaim themselves as hegemons. In Tyrannid subcontinent, if it wasn't for the 6 great forces having their own heritage, then a starry sky warlock rank expert would be able to dominate the entire Tyrannid subcontinent and become its king. Vedarnia said in a deep voice, "The mighty Vedarnia is a dragon with endless wisdom and possesses endless knowledge. Isn't the thing that you warlocks desire the most is knowledge from other planes? As long as you bring 50,000 people here for a blood sacrifice, then I'll impart you endless knowledge and let you have the knowledge to promote to a starry sky warlock. This is a deal that's very beneficial to you, isn't it?" When Eunice heard that, her heart was slightly moved and she looked towards Yang Feng. Since the beginning of the Second Warlock dynasty, human warlocks had begun to explore other planes, absorbing the knowledge of other planes and creating countless cultivation methods. Warlock College Antalya possessed the knowledge to promote to a great warlock. As for the knowledge to promote to a starry sky warlock, even Eunice didn't know whether it possessed it or not. If Vedarnia really possessed the knowledge to promote to a starry sky warlock, then as long as it obtained that knowledge, then it would be enough to establish a peak force second only to the 6 great warlock groups. Yang Feng said with a cold smile, "How can you believe a black dragon's words? Black dragons were the most cunning and savage among the 5-colored dragons. If we really brought 50,000 people here as a blood sacrifice, the first thing it would do after it escaped would be to eat us. It was best not to trade with monsters of the chaotic evil alignment unless one had the power to suppress them. Killing them and refining their corpses and souls into materials is the best choice. The actions of the chaotic evil faction were simply illogical. Many evil and powerful existences would even devour and torture their believers and those who made deals with them to death once they descend upon the world. However, they did have terrifying power and were very good at disguising themselves. Ordinary people would not know this at all. Vedarnia's eyes flashed with a strange light, and it said amiably, "Male human, your knowledge is somewhat biased. In every race, there would always be good and bad people, and there would always be some exceptions. I am an exception. I follow the rules of the contract and am an anomaly among the black dragons. As long as you complete the mission I give you, I will protect you and bestow you with a vast amount of knowledge." Yang Feng said with a cold smile, "Sorry, I don't believe you. Only a dead black dragon is a good black dragon. Go, get rid of it." The remaining 100+ gunner troops' Vulcan cannons in a flash spat out terrifying tongues of flame, forming a terrifying metal storm as it madly bombarded the black dragon. Vedarnia lowered its head and closed its eyes, saying in a deep voice, "It's useless, little ant. Your attacks are basically unable to injure my body. This is the disparity between you ants and me." The countless Vulcan cannon's shells bombarded Vedarnia's body, before bouncing off one after another, without leaving any marks on its dragon scales. As if popcorn had been thrown at a stone mountain, there was no effect. "Stop shooting." Yang Feng had a gloomy expression as he waved his hand. The mechanical bladed troops immediately stopped shooting. "Artillery troops, go." An artillery troop immediately stepped forward, its 150mm main artillery extended and aimed at Vedarnia. Boom! A main artillery shell directly bombarded Vedarnia's body. The terrifying explosion immediately engulfed the flesh mountain-like Vedarnia. An incredible scene appeared. After the smoke and dust from the explosion dispersed, Vedarnia's huge body was revealed. That huge body unexpectedly didn't receive any injuries. Vedarnia opened its eyes and said with a ridiculing expression, "Male ant, are you giving me a massage? Not bad, it's very comfortable, give me a few more rounds." Eunice's pretty complexion changed, her beautiful eyes flashed with incredulity. "This is a starry sky warlock rank extraordinary life form, truly too terrifying." As long as the 150mm main artillery hit its target, then a single round would be able to kill a level 1 warlock like Eunice. Such terrifying artillery fire, yet it couldn't even injure Vedarnia in the slightest. Vedarnia's terror could be seen at a glance. Yang Feng gave a cold smile and ordered, "Amazing. Truly amazing. Vedarnia, if you were at your peak, then I wouldn't be your match at all. But now that you're nailed here, then only death awaits you. I've already discovered your weakness, now go." The remaining 200 bladed troops quickly launched, their figures shook and with a speed surpassing that of cheetahs, they madly rushed towards Vedarnia. More than a dozen bladed troops quickly rushed in front of Vedarnia. They brandished their alloy blades and fiercely chopped at Vedarnia's scales. Ding! 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 Amidst a series of crisp sounds, the alloy blades were directly broken. Vedarnia said with a ridiculing expression, "It's no use, these ants can't even break through my scales." 3 bladed troops at once jumped at one of Vedarnia's huge wounds. A superalloy drill bit ejected from their bodies and fiercely stabbed at Vedarnia's wounds. The terrifying superalloy drill bit revolved crazily, forcibly drilling a large hole in Vedarnia's wound. A large amount of dragon blood sprayed out from the hole, scattering on the ground, causing Vedarnia to let out a painful cry. Yang Feng sneered, "You're indeed in existence with an almost invincible defense, but there are too many wounds on your body. Furthermore, your wounds haven't healed, that's your biggest weakness." Chapter 77. Vedarnia angrily roared, "You damned little ant, even if the great Vedarnia is sealed, you ants are still not my match. All of you, go to hell." Vedarnia's mountain-like body stood upright and trembled crazily, the shackles tightened as if about to snap. Its dragon wings and tail were bound by shackles and sealed, but its hands could still move. As if swatting flies, it swatted at those bladed troops as swift as a clap of thunder. Those bladed troops practically didn't have the strength to fight back. They were easily swatted by Vedarnia's dragon claws and shattered, countless parts splashed to the ground. In a short span of less than 5 minutes, those 200 bladed troops were smashed by the scarred Vedarnia one by one. After Vedarnia smashed all the bladed troops, its eyes flashed with a touch of a malevolent smile and it snarled, "Lowly male human, now the mechanical golems you relied on have turned into waste. What other abilities do you have? Don't hesitate to use them. Let me crush your hopes one by one and let you know the disparity between us dragons and ants." Eunice raised her eyebrows and proposed, "Master, let's go first. After we're ready, we'll come back and get rid of it. In any case, it can't escape. After we've promoted to great warlocks, it won't be too late to come back and kill it." Yang Feng suddenly smiled and said, "Just in time. My reinforcements have also arrived. Vedarnia, if you have the ability, then go ahead and kill all of my reinforcements." Finished speaking, bladed troops immediately came out of the cave and continuously moved towards them. Vedarnia looked at the bladed troops that were continuously coming out and said with a cold smile, "These mechanical golems are like scrap metal, even if 10,000 of them came, they still wouldn't be my match. You're just wasting your strength in vain." Only, Vedarnia's sneer quickly stiffened on its face. The bladed troops coming out of the cave were practically endless. It seemed as if they were going to completely fill the space. Eunice looked at the densely packed bladed troops and her scalp couldn't help but turn somewhat numb. These mechanical golems number more than 100,000. These mechanical golems have battle prowess comparable to level 1 warlocks. How come there are so many of them? Yang Feng gave a cold smile and ordered, "If 10,000 can't kill you, then what about 100,000? What about 300,000? What about 500,000? Vedarnia, I have a total of 500,000 reinforcements on my side. Do your best and get rid of them all. Now!" 10,000 bladed troops quickly moved forward and pounced on Vedarnia like ants. "No, damn it! Why do you have so many mechanical puppets? Damn it!" Vedarnia saw the densely packed bladed troops and issued a mournful wail. Within a few breaths, Vedarnia madly fought with the 10,000 bladed troops. Terrifying dragon roars resounded unceasingly in the space, countless mechanical parts splashed everywhere, hundreds and thousands of bladed troops were easily torn to shreds by Vedarnia. Yang Feng saw the countless mechanical bladed troops shatter and turn into various components. He couldn't help but say, "What a savage monster." Vedarnia was already heavily injured, and every part of its body was sealed. Moreover, it hadn't eaten anything for several tens of thousands of years. But even so, it was still incomparably ferocious, easily destroying hundreds and thousands of bladed troops. This monster was simply terrifying. If such an ancient black dragon like Vedarnia were to descend to Earth, then apart from nuclear warheads, no other weapons could harm it. It alone could destroy a country. Every time one of those bladed troops was destroyed, another one would automatically take its place, always maintaining the scale of 10,000 as they madly attacked Vedarnia. When Vedarnia destroyed the 10,000 bladed troops, its whole body was already riddled with scars, countless old wounds were cut open, drops of dragon blood gushed out of its body and fell to the ground. But there were still 10,000 mechanical golems madly attacking it, forcing it to not have the time to recover. Vedarnia's eyes suddenly turned red, it opened its ferocious maw and madly sprayed a red dragon breath towards Yang Feng. 1,000 level 7 shield troops raised their shields and activated level 2 protective covers, forming a huge protective barrier in front of Yang Feng's group of 3. The scarlet dragon breath fell on the protective barrier, as if tearing a thin piece of paper, it directly burned the protective barrier. The 1,000 level 7 shield troops also melted one by one in a flash within the scarlet dragon breath. But the 1,000 level 7 shield troops blocked it for a split second. Yang Feng's group of 3's figures shook, they directly jumped to the side, dodging the terrifying dragon breath that could seriously injure a great warlock. After the terrifying dragon breath passed through the place where Yang Feng's group of 3 was originally standing, it fell behind Yang Feng, burning more than 2,000 mechanical gunner troops into ashes. Yang Feng said with a cold smile, "Dragon breath. You still dare to spew dragon breath? That's really stupid. In your current state, how many more dragon breaths can you spew? 3 or 5? I still have 10,000 shield troops, feel free to burn them." Dragon breath was one of the dragon's strongest means of attack. A dragon at its peak could spew 1 to 200 dragon breaths. To use dragon breath against such a heavily injured dragon like Vedarnia, it was simply courting death, wasting its strength in vain. After Vedarnia spat dragon breath, its movements slowed down. Nearly 100 mechanical bladed troops seized the opportunity to fiercely stab its wounds with drills, forcefully directly stirring up a large amount of flesh and blood. Vedarnia roared in pain, it waved its dragon claw, directly smashing the 100 bladed troops into steel chunks, smashing them to the ground. The 100 bladed troops were destroyed, then hundreds and thousands of bladed troops attacked from other places, not giving Vedarnia the slightest chance to catch its breath. Eunice watched as Vedarnia was besieged by the densely packed, ant-like bladed troops, her scalp slightly numbed. Shui was extremely excited as she watched this scene. Vedarnia finally couldn't help but roar loudly, "Human, spare me, spare my life. I can sign a soul contract with you, and make you my master." Eunice's beautiful eyes flashed with a touch of peculiarity, she remained silent. Yang Feng gave a cold smile, his eyes flashed with a touch of ridicule as he said, "Do you think I'm stupid? The intensity of your soul is more than 1,000 times that of mine. I'm afraid that just after signing a soul contract, I'll be directly devoured by your soul and instead become your slave. Black dragons are really cunning, therefore, a dead black dragon is the best black dragon." Chapter 78. Yang Feng had obtained a lot of knowledge through his diligent studies in Warlock College Antalya. He was very clear about the dangers of signing a soul contract with those beings from other planes with formidable souls. Those terrifying beings capable of crossing planes to communicate with the world of warlocks were all terrifying experts of the great warlock rank or above. The strength of such terrifying experts' souls was extremely astonishing. For mortals to want to sign a master-servant contract with them, that was simply courting death. In the records of warlocks, there were many formidable beings that after signing a master-servant contract with mortals, they would disguise themselves as those mortals' slaves, then tempt those mortals to summon them to this world through blood sacrifices and all kinds of evil rituals, then under the despairing gazes of their masters, they would directly kill those mortals. Only formidable beings of the great warlock rank or above could use a master-servant contract to bind those terrifying beings with strength comparable to starry sky warlocks. If Yang Feng coveted Vedarnia's strength and signed a master-servant contract with it, then he would definitely be easily devoured by it. Vedarnia roared in pain, it brandished its giant claws and directly smashed dozens of bladed troops into pieces. "Let me go, I have a lot of knowledge, that knowledge is enough to let you directly promote to a great warlock rank expert." Yang Feng said with a cold smile, "Only want you to die." Finished speaking, no matter how Vedarnia pleaded, threatened or tempted, Yang Feng didn't utter a single word, he sneered and ordered the practically endless bladed troops to attack Vedarnia. The crazy battle continued for a full 5 days and 5 nights, 200,000 bladed troops were directly destroyed by Vedarnia, the wreckage of the bladed troops could be seen everywhere in that space. "Damn bastard! Lowly male human, if I wasn't seriously injured, if I wasn't sealed, then even if you used that many trash-like mechanical golems, you still wouldn't be my match." Covered in blood and riddled with scars, Vedarnia was lying on the ground, gasping for breath and wailing in extreme pain. Lying on its body were ant-like bladed troops. Those bladed troops used drills to continuously drill into Vedarnia's wounds, drilling into Vedarnia's flesh and destroying its body. Vedarnia had gone through 5 days and 5 nights of sleepless fighting, its stamina and power were nearly exhausted, it could only helplessly watch those bladed troops destroying its body. That's right, starry sky warlock rank extraordinary life forms are really terrifyingly formidable. If you were at your peak, then I wouldn't be your match. But there are no ifs. You're dead meat. Through the analysis of the life force detector, Yang Feng clearly perceived that Vedarnia's aura of life was gradually weakening, finally revealing a trace of a smile. Under the siege of 500,000 bladed troops, the heavily injured and sealed Vedarnia actually managed to get rid of 200,000 bladed troops comparable to level 1 warlocks. Such terrifying battle prowess left Yang Feng speechless. If he didn't have the help of the Mechanical Legion, then even now, the already seriously injured Vedarnia could casually get rid of Yang Feng, who only had the cultivation of a level 3 apprentice warlock. Vedarnia spat out a mouthful of dragon blood. Tears of blood gushed out from its already gouged out eyes, and it asked full of resentment, "Lowly mortal, what is your name? Let me know who killed the great Vedarnia." Yang Feng said with a smile, "Powerful beings such as fiends and devils can use a person's name to cast a curse on them. Furthermore, it was his real name that had the greatest effect. Vedarnia, you are really not simple. However, you can die with your doubts." In Black Cottage's inheritance, it recorded the taboos of dealing with those fiends and devils. One of the taboos was that, unless one had the strength to crush them or a secret treasure to defend against curses, otherwise, one must absolutely not reveal one's name in front of fiends and devils. Once one personally reveals one's real name to those strange and evil beings, then those evil beings can use the real name to carry out a vicious curse on the person being cast. The most vicious curse can even be extended for tens or even hundreds of generations. Lowly ant, you're really too careful. I curse you to die a horrible death. I curse your descendants, that every generation of women will be prostitutes and every generation of men will be slaves. I curse you to be unable to promote to a warlock for the rest of your life." One after another, vicious curses gushed out from Vedarnia's mouth, but they didn't have any effect, it was only venting. "I don't want to die. I really don't want to die." Along with a mournful lament, Vedarnia finally lowered its head powerlessly and lost its breath, turning into a corpse. Once Vedarnia died, the formidable life force shrouding its body immediately disappeared. Those bladed troops quickly dug out its heart from within its body. Vedarnia's heart was the size of a house. Even though it was already dead, its heart still didn't lose its vitality, it was still beating unceasingly. With each beat, it would squeeze out a large amount of dragon's heart blood. Those bladed troops quickly put the heart into an enormous tempered glass and quickly transported it outside. Very quickly, the tempered glass was transported out of Gloom Cave's headquarters and arrived in front of Yang Feng. A bladed troop at once removed the helmets of Yang Feng, Shi Shui and Eunice. Yang Feng quickly took off his clothes and at once jumped into the tempered glass pool containing the dragon's heart. "Ah! It hurts!" Once Yang Feng was soaked in the dragon's blood, it was as if sulfuric acid was splashed on his body, his skin was instantly corroded and ulcerated. An enormous pain was transmitted from his skin, making him directly issue a mournful scream. Dragon's blood had the terrifying effect of allowing mortals to evolve and become extraordinary. But at the same time, ordinary mortals were basically unable to withstand the enormous power contained within the dragon's blood. Mortals below the knight rank basically only had a dead end after being splashed with the dragon's blood. The stronger the effect of the dragon's heart blood within the dragon's heart, the greater its might. Shi Shui also took off her clothes and at once jumped into the dragon's blood pool. Looking at Yang Feng's painful appearance, her eyebrows creased slightly. She pointed with her lily-white finger and shortly after, a minor healing spell fell on Yang Feng's body. Yang Feng felt slightly better after being brushed by the minor healing spell. But in the next moment, that sharp pain that seemed as if it wanted to melt his whole body once again spread throughout his body. Yang Feng operated magic notes tighten at once, as if his whole body changed into that of a giant, his muscles tightened and he frantically devoured the dragon's heart blood's flesh and blood essence into his body. Under the strengthening of magic notes tighten, Yang Feng's body unceasingly disintegrated and reconstructed. Every time he disintegrated and reconstructed, his flesh and meridians would become even stronger. Chapter 79. Eunice glanced at the tempered glass pool filled with dragon's heart blood, clenched her teeth, took off her clothes and jumped into the tempered glass pool. She was very clear about the preciousness of dragon's heart blood. In the entire Tyrannid subcontinent, only a few people could enjoy bathing in a starry sky warlock-ranked dragon's heart blood. After Eunice entered the dragon's heart blood pool, she clenched her teeth and operated a secret method. Her body blossomed with starlight, absorbing the power of the dragon's heart blood within the dragon's heart blood. Inside the dragon's heart blood pool, Yang Feng and Eunice's faces were twisted, appearing to be in extreme pain. Only Shi Shui was very relaxed. She wasn't affected at all, easily absorbing the power within the dragon's heart blood pool. After a full hour, Yang Feng felt the power transmitted from the dragon's heart blood pool gradually disappear. He then lightly jumped out of the dragon's blood pool. At this moment, a bath had already been prepared on the side. Yang Feng entered the bath and took a bath, only then did he leave the bath feeling refreshed. Yang Feng felt that his body was brimming with power, his qi and blood were boiling. He casually threw a punch and directly set off a terrifying fist wind. Yang Feng ordered, "Scan my body." Initiating scan. Yang Feng, basic attributes, strength 12. 1. Agility 12. 5. Physique 12. 7. Spirit 13. 2. Blood meridians, weak black dragon's blood meridians. Spirit aptitude, superior level 3. General evaluation, classified as a level 7 life form. According to this world's ability classification, currently an extraordinary life form with battle prowess comparable to that of a level 1 warlock. However, without condensing a soul seed and establishing a spirit seed, therefore, not considered a level 1 warlock. After bathing in the dragon's heart blood, one has a strong resistance towards all kinds of spells and curses. According to the current analysis, one is completely immune to level 0 offensive spells and has a great resistance towards level 1 spells. Yang Feng pondered and said, "That black dragon is a terrifying being with starry sky warlock rank battle prowess at its peak. I might as well directly extract its blood meridians and implant them into my body, then cultivate black dragon type secret methods and walk the blood meridian warlock path." The orthodox warlock path required people with very good spirit aptitudes as well as huge amounts of resources to be able to walk relatively smoothly. People with poor soul aptitude would basically walk the path of blood meridian warlocks. The biggest weakness of blood meridian warlocks was that once they cultivated to the limit of the formidable life forms implanted with their blood meridians, there would be no way for them to evolve, and it would be difficult for them to advance even an inch. The advantage of blood meridian warlocks was their fast cultivation speed, and the lifespan of blood meridian warlocks was much longer than that of orthodox warlocks. From a long-term point of view, taking the orthodox warlock's path would undoubtedly have extremely broad development potential. But Yang Feng's soul aptitude was really too poor, forcing him to choose the blood meridian warlock path. "This is the smell of black dragon heart blood." Accompanied by a deep voice, a young man of about 23 or 24 years of age, dressed in a black warlock's robe, with short golden hair, an extremely handsome appearance, and exuding a charming temperament slowly walked out from the side of the woods. Next to the handsome young man was an old man with white hair and beard. He was dressed in a butler's uniform. Eunice had already finished her bath. She was dressed in a silver low-cut warlock's robe, a pair of slender and beautiful legs were faintly discernible. She walked over with a touch of a fragrance. When Eunice saw the young man, her eyebrows creased slightly and she said, "Rains, what do you want to do here?" Rains looked at the beautiful and moving Eunice, a touch of greed flashed past the abyss of his eyes, as if Yang Feng didn't exist. His face carried a gentlemanly smile. "Eunice, you and him both have the fragrance of black dragon heart blood. Where's the black dragon heart blood?" Eunice didn't pay attention to Rains, and instead took the initiative to say towards Yang Feng, "Darren, he's the most beloved son of Black Dragon Pagoda's master Anthony Bolet, Rains." Black Dragon Pagoda. Yang Feng's eyes flashed with a touch of a peculiar radiance. Black Dragon Pagoda was one of Tyrannid subcontinent's 6 strongest great warlock groups. Reportedly, Black Dragon Pagoda's master was a Blood Meridian warlock clan with Black Dragon's blood meridians. Black Dragon's blood meridians were extremely formidable. Adult Black Dragons were basically terrifying existences of the great warlock rank. The Blood Meridian warlock clan that possessed Black Dragon's blood meridians were also in complete control of Black Dragon Pagoda. Moreover, Black Dragon Pagoda was also the most formidable existence among Tyrannid subcontinent's 6 great forces. Rains swept Yang Feng with a contemptuous glance and threatened loftily, "From these mechanical golems, you must be Steel City's waste." Yang Feng. "These mechanical golems are very good, I like them very much, offer them to me and then scram. I can spare your worthless life. Otherwise, with just a word from me, I can exterminate your entire Steel City." When Yang Feng heard that, he became furious within. He glanced at the old man beside Rain's and his eyes flashed with a touch of dread. Rain's life force was a notch lower than Eunice's, it was at the level of an ordinary level 1 warlock. But the life force of the old man beside him was extremely huge, it was comparable to that of a level 2 warlock. The old man smiled coldly and threatened in a sinister tone, "My young master wants you to hand over those mechanical puppets. Are you deaf? Or do you want to implicate your uncle and exterminate Steel City?" Eunice's pretty face sank and she said coldly, "Rains, what are you trying to do? Scram at once, otherwise when I return, I'll definitely complain to the council." Rains revealed a trace of a lascivious smile, "Beautiful Eunice, I've wanted to obtain you for a very long time. But you've always been hiding in Warlock College Antalya, leaving me with no way to act. However, after today, you'll become a beautiful addition to my collection. Do you want to come with me now, or do you want to wait for a while and have my butler old Barry invite you back?" Barry revealed a trace of a smile, operated a secret method and an incomparably formidable life force spread from his body. The terrifying life force of a level 2 warlock oppressed Yang Feng, this expert with a level 1 warlock's physique, to the point that it became somewhat difficult to breathe. Eunice's heart shivered, she gave the old man Barry beside Rains a deep glance and was brimming with dread. "Rains, you actually dare to act against me, aren't you afraid of my father's retaliation?" Rains gave a contemptuous smile and said extremely arrogantly, "Starlight Aldrich, that waste still has some power in the Southern States Alliance. But if he dares to come to our Black Dragon Pagoda, then I guarantee that he won't be able to return. Act, kill them." Chapter 80. 5 shield troops instantly arrived in front of Yang Feng and Eunice, the shields in their hands flickered with radiance and instantly condensed into 5 transparent protective covers protecting the two of them. The 40-gunner troops quickly adjusted their muzzles, the cannons rumbled and spat out tongues of flame, forming a terrifying metal storm that madly bombarded Rains and Barry. Dragon Lizard Scales. Barry's complexion changed slightly and he at once unleashed the level 2 Blood Meridian innate defensive spell. In a split second, pitch-black scales directly grew on his body. The Vulcan artillery's cannons bombarded Barry's body and sputtered traces of sparks, yet they were unable to tear apart the protective scales on his body. Rain's black Chongpao flashed with radiance and a black protective cover appeared on his body, the cannon's shells were also deflected one by the black protective cover. "Yang Feng, you actually dare to attack me? You bastard, you bastard! Barry, kill him! Dig out his heart! Kill him for me!" Rain's complexion was malevolent as he madly roared, his figure flashed and he very skillfully hid inside the woods. On the other side, Barry's figure flashed and he directly disappeared from within the hail of bullets. In a split second, Barry immediately appeared in front of the protective barrier in front of Yang Feng, his eyes flashed with an incomparably savage radiance, his hands ejected 30 centimeters long sharp claws and he fiercely clawed at the protective barrier. Ding! Along with a crisp sound, the 5 shield troops' protective covers finally blocked Barry's attack. The 40-bladed troops quickly adjusted their muzzles, taking advantage of the gap between Barry's attacks, they madly strafed him. The incomparably dense hail of bullets bombarded Barry's body and directly sent him flying. The 30-bladed troops took advantage of the opportunity to pounce at him, they brandished their alloy blades and fiercely chopped at Barry. "Damned toy golems, break for me!" Barry gave a furious roar, his 2 claws directly pierced a bladed troop's protective cover, he exerted his strength and forcibly tore the bladed troop into 2 halves. Boom! The moment the bladed troop was torn into 2 halves, the bomb buried inside the bladed troop's body instantly exploded, the terrifying shock wave instantly blew Barry away. The defensive power of the rank 2 bloodline innate defense spell, Dragon Lizard Scales, that Barry had cast, was comparable to that of a real dragon's scales. Even so, that terrifying explosion still shook him to the point of bleeding from his facial orifices. The blood in his body churned, and he spat out a large mouthful of blood. Aim! Fire! The 30 level 7 artillerymen hidden at the side had already locked their main cannons onto Balsarus and opened fire. Boom! 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 Terrifying artillery fire continuously bombarded Barry's location, causing the earth to shake and the mountains to shake. Smoke and dust rose everywhere. After a series of bombardments, the rocket launchers mounted on the level 7 artillery troops started firing in all directions. A dense barrage of rockets was launched towards Barry's location. The terrifying explosions did not stop. The radiance of defensive spells flashed in Barry's direction before shattering. The terrifying bombardments lasted for a full 5 minutes. More than a dozen bladed troops in a flash rushed into the smoke and dust that had yet to disperse. Before long, Barry's severed head as well as his broken corpse were taken out by the bladed troops. Eunice looked at Barry's severed head and corpse, her beautiful eyes flashed with a whiff of incredulity. He was killed. A level 2 Blood Meridian Warlock was actually killed just like that. Barry was a level 2 Warlock of Black Dragon Pagoda. He wasn't like the trashes of Fernandro Clan, Evil Snake Eyes and White Elephant's Ivory. Such a powerhouse was actually killed so easily. Steel City's Mechanical Golem Legion is really terrifying. Barry was a level 2 Warlock of Black Dragon Pagoda. He had the complete inheritance of Black Dragon Pagoda. With his terrifying battle prowess as a level 2 Blood Meridian Warlock, he could even contend against some level 3 warlocks with poor inheritances, and even defeat weak level 3 warlocks. Such an expert in Yang Feng's mixed Mechanical Legion was killed with just a single bladed troop. The Mechanical Legion's strength was far beyond Eunice's imagination. Yang Feng looked at the level 2 warlock Barry's corpse, his heart shivered as he said, a level 2 warlock was killed so easily. That black dragon Vedarnia was really too powerful, too terrifying. Vedarnia was heavily injured and sealed. The strength it could display was at most that of a great warlock rank. A genuine great warlock is definitely much more powerful than it. Moreover, those genuine great warlock rank experts have strange methods. They absolutely wouldn't just stand there and let me kill them. In other words, with my current strength, it would be extremely difficult to deal with a genuine great warlock rank expert. I surrender. Don't kill me. I surrender. As soon as Rains saw Barry's corpse, he promptly screamed in horror. Under the escort of 3 bladed troops, Rains obediently walked out. Rains' eyes flashed with a whiff of resentment, yet he lowered his posture and said somewhat humbly, Yang Feng, let me go. I can pay the ransom. How about 10,000 magic stones? As long as you let me go, I can give you 10,000 magic stones. Yang Feng said with a smile that wasn't a smile, 10,000 magic stones? The most beloved son of Black Dragon Pagoda's master is only worth 10,000 magic stones? Rains recovered his calm and said unhurriedly, my father Anthony doesn't only have me as his only son. 100,000 magic stones. As long as you let me go, I can give you 100,000 magic stones. There's a secret imprint set up by my father sealed inside my body. If you kill me, then he definitely won't let you off. Yang Feng said with a smile, I want all the cultivation secret methods of Black Dragon Pagoda that you know of. Rain's eyes flashed with a whiff of horror and he said loudly, impossible. That's my Black Dragon Pagoda's top secret. It's absolutely impossible for me to divulge those secret methods. Even if you kill me, I still won't divulge a single word. I think that you'll tell me honestly in a moment. Yang Feng waved his hand. A bladed troop immediately took out a tube of liquid metal nanorobot elixir and walked towards Rains in large strides. Eunice swept the tube of blood-red liquid metal nanorobot elixir with a glance. Her gaze fell on Rains and she revealed a whiff of sympathy. What do you want to do? If you dare to hurt me, then my father definitely won't let you off. Rain's heart flashed with a whiff of an ominous premonition. He screamed loudly and continuously struggled. 2 bladed troops ejected mechanical tentacles and firmly locked onto Rain's body. The other bladed troop directly pricked the tube of elixir into Rain's neck and injected the elixir into his body. Ah! Rain's handsome face instantly distorted. He issued an extremely mournful scream and continuously rolled on the ground. Chapter 81. After experiencing the terror of the liquid metal nanorobot elixir, Rains very quickly became well-behaved and told Yang Feng everything he knew about Black Dragon Pagoda's secret method. Black Dragon Pagoda's highest secret method was the secret method Black Dragon Morph that Rains cultivated. This was a kind of terrifying secret method that only those with Black Dragon's blood meridians could cultivate. Once cultivated successfully and reached the realm of a great warlock, then the cultivator would be able to display a kind of terrifying secret method and temporarily transform into an adult black dragon, possessing a terrifying defensive power, incomparably formidable strength, an all-conquering dragon breath, and being able to cast draconic magic capable of destroying cities and exterminating states. Rains was the only son born after Anthony promoted to a great warlock. His black dragon's blood meridians were extremely rich. Although he was a hedonistic son of rich parents, he didn't spend too much time and energy on cultivation, yet he still easily promoted to an official level 1 warlock. After dealing with Rains, Yang Feng once again put on his helmet and controlled the bladed troops inside Gloom Cave to remove the dimensional crystal. Once the dimensional crystal was removed, the space inside the Warlock Pagoda quickly distorted and shrunk by several tens of times. At the same time, the shackles binding the black dragon Vedarnia also broke one by one. After all the shackles broke, an enormous bronze door gradually appeared behind Vedarnia. Along with a burst of loud kacha-kacha sounds, the enormous bronze door slowly opened, revealing a bottomless, unceasingly twisting passageway formed from countless strange symbols, only allowing one person to enter. Eunice saw the passageway formed from countless strange symbols. Her beautiful complexion turned pale and she blurted out, "Planar path, this is a planar path that can lead to other planes." Gloom Cave can actually create such a legendary treasure like planar path, it's really too heaven-defying. Yang Feng asked curiously, "Planar path, what's that? Is it very precious?" In terms of breadth of knowledge, Yang Feng simply couldn't compare with Eunice, this genuine genius warlock. Planar path is a path that can allow a warlock's fleshly body to go to other planes. In order to cross the planar barrier and enter other planes, there are many methods, such as projection, possession, reverse summoning and so on. However, projection, possession, reverse summoning and so on to other planes all have all kinds of weaknesses. The strength of the body is basically unable to be displayed. It was very easy for someone to plot against them and kill them. These methods are far less safe than using the planar path to travel to other planes. The practice of us warlocks requires a huge amount of knowledge and endless resources. Many of the resources came from other planes. Master, the Magic Notes Titan's secret technique that you cultivate requires the bloodline of the giant god from the plane of giants. Many cultivation techniques can't be cultivated without special resources. A plane with life is also a huge treasure. As long as we conquer a plane, we can obtain the resources and wealth of that plane. It's said that every major force on the main continent has one or several planes as their base. This planar path represents an unknown plane. From the fact that the Gloom Cave had paid a huge price to open up this planar path, the plane at the end of this planar path was definitely a plane with life and a huge amount of resources. If we can take control of that plane, maybe we can obtain more valuable wealth than the entire Tyrandit subcontinent. After all, this planar path might be the only planar path in the entire Tyrandit subcontinent. Eunice looked at that large bronze door, her beautiful eyes flashed with excitement and she said excitedly, "Another plane." Yang Feng's eyes also flashed with a touch of a scorching glint. He firmly stared at that large bronze door, feeling somewhat excited inside. The majority of Tyrandit subcontinent's resources were in the hands of large and small warlock groups. Those large and small warlock groups formed a huge network of relationships. Yang Feng had seized a few cities from Fernandro Principality in the name of the Steel Lord Yang Yi, and that was already his limit. If it continued, then Warlock College Antalya would definitely intervene. The appearance of a new plane meant that Yang Feng had another direction of development. Furthermore, if he could obtain that plane's special products and knowledge from that new plane, then it would definitely be a huge fortune. Eunice said, "However, it's not that simple to maintain a planar path. Every time a planar path is opened, a large amount of magic stones must be consumed. The ancient black dragon suppressed by Gloom Cave, it seems like it was used to extract and supply energy. Now that the black dragon has been killed by you, this planar path won't be maintained for long. Next time, you'll need to use magic stones to open it. There were 36 grooves on that large bronze door, each groove's size corresponded to the size of a superior magic stone. This also meant that the next time the planar path was opened, it would require the consumption of 36 superior magic stones. 36 superior magic stones. I'm really too poor. Yang Feng looked at the 36 grooves and sighed in a low voice. Those 36 superior magic stones were worth more than 500,000 inferior magic stones. Steel City was currently unable to come up with such a terrifying amount of wealth. In fact, the act of crossing to another plane and taking risks wasn't something that ordinary warlocks could afford. Only those peak experts at the Great Warlock rank and above would cross to another plane in order to look for opportunities and wealth to promote. After hesitating for a moment, Yang Feng still directly stepped into the whirlpool formed from countless strange symbols. Spatial disorder. Spatial jump in progress. Scanning the jump coordinates. A series of information continuously flashed in Yang Feng's eyes. Yang Feng's eyes suddenly blurred, and he appeared in an extremely vast space. Yang Feng swept the surroundings with a glance, and his eyes at once surged with a touch of ecstasy. I seem to have made a fortune. In that extremely vast space, there were countless neatly arranged gold bars and night pearls embedded in the walls, illuminating the space in a splendid manner. At the end of the mountain of gold piled up by countless gold bars, there was a small crystal altar with a black box placed in the center of the crystal altar. Yang Feng had just seen this space, when the planar path formed from countless strange symbols behind him started to blur and distort. Damned counterfeit, it's too weak. Yang Feng cursed in a low voice. He extended his hand, and metal tentacles formed from liquid metal instantly shot out, rolled up the black box in the center of the crystal altar, and pulled it back from the crystal altar. Then, he stepped into the planar passageway. Chapter 82. Yang Feng's eyes blurred, then he appeared in Gloom Cave's headquarters. The planar path condensed from twisted runes also collapsed and dissipated at practically the same time. The huge bronze gate also directly closed with kacha-kacha sounds. 10 days later. Giant Stone City, an ordinary aristocratic manor, in a room on the third basement floor, was filled with all kinds of containers. There were transparent glassware, tempered glassware, special glassware, crystal glassware as well as all kinds of culture tanks. Yang Feng stood in front of a person-sized transparent crystal culture tank. Inside the transparent crystal culture tank, there was a two-finger-sized lump of blood. That two-finger-sized lump of blood was constantly tumbling. From time to time it would condense into a miniature black dragon form. Traces of terrifying dragon might were emitted from that lump of black dragon form of blood. That fist-sized lump of blood was the product of Yang Feng's continuous extraction and purification for a full 10 days using NR 3796S super technological culture tanks. That entire 20,000 gene of dragon blood was only purified into a two-finger-sized blood essence. This two-finger-sized blood essence was the black dragon's blood meridians that could be transplanted. Yang Feng pressed a button, a syringe extended from that crystal culture tank and fiercely pricked his arm. That two-finger-sized lump of blood exuding terrifying dragon might, under the effect of a mysterious force, directly entered Yang Feng's body through that syringe. Once that vial of black dragon's blood essence entered Yang Feng's body, he felt as if his whole body was burning. An intense pain at once spread throughout his whole body at once swelled up, almost killing him. Yang Feng clenched his teeth, madly operated Black Dragon Pagoda's high-grade secret method Black Dragon Morph, his body as if transforming into a black dragon, slowly merging that black dragon's blood essence with his fleshly body and soul. Transplanting that variant blood meridians into the body wasn't that simple. If there wasn't the secret method recorded in Black Dragon Pagoda, then rashly transplanting Black Dragon's blood meridians would only lead to death. In the absence of the corresponding secret method, rashly merging with a variant life form's blood meridians, only 1 in 100 million people would survive. Black Dragon Morph, Magic Notes Titan, those kind of blood meridian secret methods, every time a secret method was created, countless people would die during the experiment. When Yang Feng operated the Black Dragon Morph, his body seemed to transform into an ancient black dragon, and his blood boiled. Within his sea of consciousness, a soul seed that contained the shadow of a black dragon was slowly taking shape after absorbing countless amounts of soul energy. After the soul seed was completely condensed, the black dragon shadow inside the soul seed roared, and a frightening dragon force reverberated in his sea of knowledge, directly pushing open Yang Feng's sea of knowledge. Countless spirit force condensed from an invisible and colorless form into traces of gas that were difficult to see with the naked eye. With Yang Feng's soul seed as the core, it formed a spirit sea and spread in all directions. A spell model suddenly formed in his sea of soul, Black Dragon Scale. Once the spell model stabilized, mysterious soul force slowly diffused from Yang Feng's soul seed. Yang Feng only felt as if some restriction inside him had been broken, and could no longer restrain him. An extremely powerful life force and surging power gushed out from the depths of his body in an endless stream. After a long time, Yang Feng opened his eyes. His eyes flickered with radiance and he was brimming with unspeakable power. Start scanning my body. Initiating scanning. Yang Feng, basic attributes, strength 18. 1. Agility 18. 5. Physique 18. 7. Spirit 29. 2. Blood meridians, intermediate concentration of ancient black dragon blood meridians, basically equivalent to top-notch adult black dragon blood meridians. Soul aptitude, inferior level, 6. After merging with the black dragon blood meridians, the soul aptitude has been greatly improved. General evaluation, classified as a level 7 life form. Pinnacle level 1 Warlock's physical constitution. After bathing in the dragon's heart's blood, the resistance towards all kinds of spells and curses is formidable. According to the current analysis, it's completely immune to level 0 cantrips of the direct attack type, but it's extremely resistant to level 1 spells. Evolution potential, intermediate. Can continue to use dragon blood elixir to strengthen it. Yang Feng operated his formidable spirit force and sensed the changes in his body. His eyes flashed with a whiff of gratification. I've finally promoted to a level 1 warlock. Ordinary orthodox warlocks, once promoted to a level 1 warlock, would have a lifespan of 200 to 300 years. If they collected some lifespan extension items, they could extend their lifespan to 300 to 400 years. But Blood Meridian Warlocks were different. The lifespan of a Blood Meridian Warlock was different according to the formidable life form implanted in them. Their lifespan would also vary. Yang Feng had implanted ancient Black Dragon Blood Meridians. Even if he didn't do anything, with his level 1 Warlock strength, he would still have a lifespan of more than 1,000 years. This was the advantage and terror of Blood Meridian Warlocks. If it wasn't for Blood Meridian Warlocks practicing cultivation to a certain degree, then they would suffer from Blood Meridian shackles, and at the same time, it would be difficult to obtain the Blood Meridians of formidable life forms. The Orthodox Warlock's path would have been eliminated long ago. In fact, the second Warlock dynasty was dominated by Blood Meridian Warlocks, practically squeezing Orthodox Warlocks to the point where they didn't have much room to live. Yang Feng thought somewhat regretfully, a top-notch concentration of adult Black Dragon Blood Meridians. This also means that I don't have to do anything. I only need to slowly wait for time to promote to a level 3 Black Dragon Blood Meridian Warlock. If I want to promote to a Great Warlock, then I would encounter difficulties. Unfortunately, if I could kill 2 more ancient Black Dragons and extract their Blood Meridians, then I would be able to obtain the complete ancient Black Dragon's Blood Meridians. If I could obtain the complete ancient Black Dragon's Blood Meridians, then even if I didn't do anything, with the passage of time, I would be able to slowly promote to a Great Warlock rank expert. Only when promoting to a Starry Sky Warlock would I encounter a bottleneck. A top-notch concentration of adult Black Dragon Blood Meridians. This formidable Blood Meridians were already enough for Yang Feng to slowly promote to a level 3 Warlock without doing anything. This was the terror of a Blood Meridian Warlock. Black Cottage's Master Bonnie painstakingly cultivated his entire life, yet he was still stuck in the bottleneck from a level 1 Warlock to a level 2 Warlock. The difficulty of promoting to a Warlock could be imagined. Yang Feng felt the changes in his body, mused for a moment, and then directly put on a helmet. Giant Stone City, on the 3rd basement floor of another manor, inside a space made from a 10 m thick superalloy wall, a liquid metal robot quickly distorted and transformed into Yang Feng's appearance. After the transformation was completed, Yang Feng walked to the center of the space and carefully picked up the black box from Gloom Cave's headquarters. Warlocks had all kinds of strange methods. Among them, there was no lack of formidable curses attached to a lot of treasures. Even if Yang Feng promoted to a level 1 warlock, he still wasn't willing to be attached to a warlock's curse. Chapter 83. Yang Feng opened the black box, only to see a dark green bead quietly lying inside the box, without any abnormalities. Initiating scanning. No negative energy detected. No force field detected. No curse-type negative spells attached to the object. No energy fluctuations from the object. No data on the object in the database, unable to be identified. A series of scanning information was quickly transmitted to the chip inside Yang Feng's head. From the scanning data, the dark green bead was just an ordinary bead without any power. Tyrannid subcontinent's surface world was a place where humans resided. But in the underworld, there lived many demons, dark elves, gnomes, dark dwarves, fiends, vampires, demonic beasts, devils and all kinds of strange dark life forms. The underworld's various strange dark life forms were mostly slaves, pets and experimental products of taboo experiments plundered by the ancient warlocks from other planes. After they luckily escaped from the hands of the warlocks, they escaped into the underworld and survived with great difficulty in the underworld. The underworld was originally a training ground opened by the ancient warlocks for low-level warlocks. But following the collapse of the 8th Warlock dynasty, the glory of the ancient warlocks disappeared. The training ground for low-level warlocks had already become the most dangerous area in Tyrannid subcontinent. The underworld was filled with all kinds of ferocious and formidable dark life forms. Even great warlock rank experts could fall here if they were the slightest bit careless. Tyrannid subcontinent's underworld's third layer. Surrounded by beautiful and incomparably bewitching dark man-eating trees, there was an exquisite and luxurious city that occupied an extremely vast area. It wasn't the slightest bit inferior to Giant Stone City. Beautiful and enchanting dark elves with dark skin and a pair of pointy ears could be seen everywhere in the huge city. In the center of the huge city, there was an up to 500 tall temple. Inside the 500-meter tall temple, there was a statue of a goddess that was tens of meters tall. The upper body of the statue was that of a long-haired, voluptuous, and peerless beauty. The lower body of the statue was that of a ferocious, ugly, and terrifying spider. This statue of a goddess was the Dark Elves' ruler of the Dark Elves, the goddess Lolth. Shortly after Yang Feng opened the black box, the black goddess statue seemed to come to life, and an extraordinary fluctuation of power spread in a flash and enveloped the whole city. Great ruler of the Dark Elves, you are our ruler, our mother, our guide, and our great protector. You are our hope amidst the endless darkness. Praise you, may your divine might envelop the endless plains. We are willing to be your minions and tear your enemies apart. We are willing to be your shield, to block all attacks aimed at you. Please protect us and bestow us with strength. Please lead us to glory. All the night elves in the city felt the familiar and powerful fluctuations of power in a split second. No matter what they were doing, they all prostrated on the ground and loudly praised the goddess they believed in. The prayers of countless night elves condensed into traces of faith power that converged on the statue of Lolth, causing the fluctuations of power released by the statue to become even greater. A peerless beauty dressed in an exquisite, hollowed-out dress, sexy and alluring, with large areas of her skin exposed, a crown carved entirely from mithril and inlaid with countless precious gems, exuding a bewitching charm, walked into the temple while being surrounded by 13 beautiful dark elves. The peerless beauty exuding a bewitching charm and shrouded in a formidable life force was the great matriarch of all the dark elves in the third layer of Tyrannid subcontinent's underground world, Shienna. The 13 beautiful dark elves following behind her were the matriarchs of the 13 dark elven clans. As soon as they entered the temple, the 14 dark elves immediately prostrated themselves on the ground and continuously prayed and praised the goddess they believed in. A trace of golden light shot out from the statue of the goddess Lolth and entered the forehead of the peerless beauty. The tremendous pressure immediately disappeared and the statue returned to its original form. The great ruler of the Dark Elves has issued a divine decree. The Holy War has officially begun. After Cheyenne stood up from the ground, she raised her scepter and announced loudly with a solemn expression. Holy War. The great ruler of the Dark Elves is immortal. Holy War. The great ruler of the Dark Elves is immortal. Waves of fanatical cheers spread wantonly in the huge temple. In a luxurious hot spring in the huge city built by the Dark Elves, a handsome young man with short blue hair was frolicking with a dozen beautiful Dark Elven girls. The waves of cheers also spread into the hot spring bathroom. Holy War? Damn it, we're not ready yet. The young man frowned and cursed. With a sway of his body, he disappeared from where he stood. In a small palace in the magnificent and luxurious Dark Elven Imperial Palace. The great matriarch of the Dark Elves, Cheyenne, wore an exquisite silver gown with a pair of breasts and a pair of slender and beautiful legs faintly visible. She exuded a languid temperament from head to toe as she reclined on a white tiger-skin sofa. In her arms was a beautiful Dark Elven girl about 11 or 12 years old, and she was wantonly playing with her, making the Dark Elven girl blush and emit strange cries. The young man pushed open the door and sat down next to Cheyenne. With a gloomy expression, he said coldly, Cheyenne, why did you start the Holy War now? Our race is not ready yet. Cheyenne said languidly, Gree, this is the divine decree of our God. Divine decree. Damn it. When Gree heard this word, he could only helplessly curse. All the words he wanted to say were stuck in his throat. For races that believed in God, divine decrees were not to be violated. Even if Gree gave 10,000 reasons, he wouldn't be able to convince Cheyenne. Cheyenne also couldn't violate the divine decree. Otherwise, she would lose the favor of God, and her unfathomable power would directly backfire and burn her to ashes. You're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.